time is 6:30. We are now open as a council. We will be convening into work session right now for executive session. 2, pursuant to Section 551.072 Texas Local Government Code, to deliberate the acquisition of right-of-way in fee simple for the San Gabriel Roadway Project, and B, Section 551-0072 Texas Local Government Code, to deliberate the acquisition property in fee simple for the booster station at San Gabriel Parkway. We do have a quorum present. Thank you. All right, we are in executive session. Okay, so we're going to reconvene into work session only at 6:50.
And then this is.
And now we're going to close the work session at 6:51.
Okay.
All right. Welcome to the regular City Council meeting on August 2nd, 2018. The time is 7 p.m. Welcome, everyone. We want at this time do a roll call. Ms. Crabtree.
Councilmember Andrea Navarrete.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Michelle Stevenson.
Present.
Councilmember Shannon Shepherd.
Here.
Councilmember Christine Setterquist.
Here.
Councilmember Jeff Seiler.
Here.
Councilmember Marcy Cannon.
Here.
Mayor Troy Hill.
Here. We do have a quorum. We can do business. At this time, we want to go to staff comments.
None.
All right. We want to do citizen comments now. This is the time to speak on something that is not on the agenda.
Mayor, where's the prayer? Are we going to give our invocation?
Sorry, I skipped the prayer. At this time, we have Joe Bob Ellison that's going to lead our invocation.
That's all right. We're used to being looked over. It's all right, Mayor.
That's all right.
It's all right. Appreciate you. Well, thanks for the opportunity, everyone. Let's pray. Father, thank you so much for the amazing Mayor Hill and this amazing council. And I just pray, Father, you continue just give them discernment, God. I know I was talking to several of them. It seems like anything you do, you're gonna make people upset. And sometimes it's with people who just get upset, no matter what. But God, I pray, Father, that we all realize it's never easy to be in leadership with the city or any kind of leadership. And I pray, Father, that we continue to pray for all of our leaders, because that's what the Word of God tells us. Whether we like them or not, that we need to pray for them. And I pray, Father, that you just bless this council meeting. I bless everything on the agenda, whether it's a new development or, Father, just a citizen that has a concern. I pray, God, that we continue to be a city that loves you and a city that gives voice to everyone who needs a voice. We love you, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, guys.
Amen. Thank you.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Please pray that I learn to read my own writing here. Okay. Okay, at this time we want to go to citizen comments. This is 3 minutes allowed per speaker. It is a time that you can speak on something that is not on the regular agenda. We don't have anybody signed up to speak, but where's that? Okay, at this time we do have Ms. Thompson. Welcome, Ms. Thompson.
Thank you. Thank you. The picture is up. This picture of myself and Horace Hamilton. I want y'all to get to know Horace. Horace graduated from Leander High School, the class of 1941. He was just 16. In a couple of months, he decided he and a few friends were going to join the Navy. And so they went to Austin. They joined the Navy. He was underweight, and they suggested he go eat bananas. And between he and his friends, they had 17 cents. And the recruiter gave him another nickel. and they went and he ate just tons of bananas and then drank water and went back, and they passed him that he weighed 120 pounds. So they joined the Navy. They took the train to Houston. They were sworn in Houston, and then they took the train to San Diego. And they were in school in San Diego. And this is the summer of 1941. And a officer came to the classroom and said, "Your school is over. You're going to tomorrow morning and board the USS Phoenix. You are in the Navy." So they go make a couple of runs with this ship, and then they go to Pearl Harbor. And he turned 17 in the meantime, but he just now turned 17. And after 5 days at Pearl Harbor was attacked by the Japanese. So in the future, between now and Saturday, November 10th, that's the weekend of Veterans Day, and a lot of the organizations will be celebrating that Saturday, Sunday, and some on Monday. We have chosen on Saturday, November 10th, here at the Pat Bryson Building, the Leander Preservation Commission, our city commission, will sponsor it. And we're going to have Horace Hamilton here. He's 94. He has been awarded many trophies, caps, all sorts of stuff, being a Pearl Harbor survivor. And he talks about it readily. He remembers everything like it was yesterday. And so that November 10th, we want it to be Horace Hamilton Day, and I'm going to look to the city, our city officials, our elected officials, to help us make that a really good and fun day. So I want everybody to mark your calendars. I've only got 20 seconds. And we will honor, Horace lives about 45 miles from here. And we will honor him as a Pearl Harbor survivor. So if you know of any group that wants to honor him that day, well, let me know or let Kent know or the mayor, and we'll have a really interesting and fun time honoring Horace Hamilton and Leander. Thank you, and I made it in 3 minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. And now, Chris Schwindeman.
Chris Schwendemann, 616 Emma Rose. Mayor, City Council, thank you for your time. I was looking forward to attending the biannual retreat this past weekend, but since it was out of town, my schedule did not allow me to drive to Burnet. Since transparency and participation is a high priority for the current City Council, I was wondering if Council would consider holding all future retreats in Leander, not only to keep business in Leander, but to allow all residents a true chance to participate. I previously attended one retreat, and it was truly informative, not only into the process itself, but how engaged and considering each council member was to the topic at hand. Please consider holding both retreats in Leander. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schwindeman. Now we want to do recognitions. We have in our midst former Mayor Cowman. We also have former Councilman Ron Aberzees. Hey, Ron. And at this time, we'd like to recognize Officer John Carnley and K-9 Officer Kodi.
I heard Mark Larkin out there, so I
Yeah.
need to get in there. Cody's still young, so he's kind of like a small child. He'll want to focus on some other things.
Aww. He is. He's got a little more training to go. See that tail going?
We hope he doesn't mark anything as well. But I'll make this quick because this is a lot of stimulus going here for Kodi. So first I want to introduce Officer John Carnley, and this is his canine partner and fur partner there, Kodi. I'm always super excited when I get to come and talk about some of the great things that are going on at our department and some of the great things that are kind of happening with the staff. All right, so who was in Colorado recently? Anybody?
Busted.
Sorry, Colorado, for that comment. So the reason I have John up here is I wanted to recognize him for one and what he's done. So I'm just going to read this so you kind of get and I kind of explain what it is. So on July 23rd, Canine Officer Carnley and his partner Kodi participated in the second annual Texas Narcotics Officers Association Canine competition that was held at Coda just down the way. In a field of more than 40 teams, Officer Carnley and Kodi placed sixth. For a canine team that had been deployed for a short amount of time, and we're talking how long, John? 30 days? Maybe even 30 days. This was quite an achievement for what he's done. You see, there was for him, a lot of the other teams there were veteran canine handlers and veteran teams. And for John to even place that high there it doesn't surprise me because of the dedication he's put in, but it just kind of shows you things to come and the hard work and the dedication that he's put into this program to make this work, because these two have to work as a team. When he goes home, he doesn't get to turn it off. He's still training this dog continuously. His class that he went to was 8 weeks. 8 weeks where him and the dog had to become one, and they operate as one. So, I just want you guys to know what kind of stuff's going on over there and what John's doing. But, John, I want to thank you for the hard work and dedication you put into this program, and I look forward to seeing Kodi work and seeing you work and just watching you build this program. So thank you for all that you've done. So,
It's awesome.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question. So Officer Kodi goes home with Officer Carnley.
He does.
So you
They are
spend
buddies.
a lot of time together. Also, you had mentioned at the ceremony when he took the oath, what kind of dog? No, it wasn't you. It was
Chief Hayes?
It was Chief
Yes.
Hayes. Yes. What kind of dog is he? Because he's not a German Shepherd, even though he looks like one.
Is it, other than a Malinois, is there something before that? Belgian Malinois.
How do you spell that?
Yes. I'm not sure.
I know Belgian part.
Yeah,
Very
definitely
carefully.
Google. But Cody's trained in narcotics detection. He's also trained in tracking. So that was one of the, or I guess it's tracking. That's one of the goals we wanted to make sure, obviously, with narcotics. But one, if we've got anybody missing, children, elderly, adults, anybody that's wandered off, that Kodi can find them, help us find them. So, but they're still working. Every day's working. There's a lot of training that goes in with this. So. It's not, like I said, something you just can turn off when you get home. You're constantly having to train, and where these two will just be, that dog will know exactly what he's feeling, thinking.
You have a
and,
new child,
concerned.
Officer
Yes.
Conley.
Yes.
Do you work with teenagers, sir?
No, that's one right there, I think. He's a baby still. Yeah. So we're real proud of him. We've had a canine program in the past long ago. It just wound up dissolving, so this is our first starting it back up. So we appreciate you guys. You guys approve this for us and support us on this. So we want to make sure that this dog gets to work and does what he's supposed to do to help find people and keep our community safe and drug free.
Amen.
Best we can. So
Thank you.
thank you all. I appreciate it.
Don't hesitate by my car, Kodi, please. Okay, so at this time, we're going to move to our consent agenda. This is an action item.
Motion to approve? I'll second.
We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Navarrete and a second by Councilmember Shepherd. All in favor? It is unanimous. All right, at this time, we're going to move to our public hearing. These are action items. Number 16, conduct a public hearing and consider action regarding Comprehensive Plan Amendment Case 18-CPA-003, requesting to remove the southwest quadrant of the neighborhood center located at the intersection of Journey Parkway, County Road 175, and remove the mixed-use corridor located along County Road 175, Leander, Williamson County, Texas. Mr. Yanis.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members. This is a public hearing and action on an ordinance to amend the comprehensive plan, the future land use designation at the intersection of County Road 175 and Journey Parkway. This case originated from a prior zoning case at this location that went before Planning and Zoning Commission and received significant neighborhood opposition, and the applicant withdrew their zoning request at that time and subsequently submitted a application to amend the future land use plan in order to remove the neighborhood center at the intersection as well as the mixed-use corridor, which then would allow for the entire tract to be zoned for single-family residential uses, which is the next item on the agenda. The Planning and Zoning Commission did hear this case at their meeting last week, and they unanimously recommended approval of the amendment, and I would be happy to answer any questions after the public hearing.
We do have several people that have signed up to speak. First is Sandash, Puchalapalli. Welcome.
Mr. Mayor, I believe the applicant wanted to speak
Okay.
ahead of the public hearing, if you
Okay.
wouldn't mind.
Sorry about that, Sandash. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council members, my name is Peter Verdicchio at SEC Planning. I am here this evening on behalf of both the Simpson family as property owners, as well as representing MI Homes that would like to develop this property should they receive the necessary approvals. I'll apologize up front, and I will certainly try to be brief, but I just want to give a little bit of the background for why we find ourselves here tonight requesting your consideration of a future land use plan amendment. As Tom mentioned, we moved forward with a PUD on the property back during the spring and went before P&Z on May 24th with that PUD. That PUD request was in full compliance with the comp plan, future land use plan. We had higher density residential, a mix of 30 and 40 foot alley loaded product, and commercial as close as we could get to the intersection of Journey and County Road 175 with the riparian corridor. When we showed up that evening and after making the presentation, approximately 30 residents stood up and spoke in opposition of our PUD. Their concerns primarily focused on the desire to have similar character community built next to or near their communities. They were very concerned about the density that we were seeking in compliance with the comp plan. And of course, that led to traffic concerns and pedestrian safety concerns. As we sensed the opposition and the concern, we requested P&Z to table our request so that we could go back, spend some time internally, come up with some new plans, and come forward. It was very clear to us that the comp plan was simply a guide and that we were interpreting it too literal, and that we really needed to go back and keep in mind that we were to reevaluate the property on its own merits. We discussed internally the surrounding existing land uses, the physical character of the property, with items such as the riparian corridor and its location at that intersection, and probably most important, the feedback and the comments we heard from the residents. So our team prepared plans. We presented those to city officials, our neighbors, and city staff. And I would say probably most critical to that was we held 2 meetings with stakeholder representatives from the adjoining neighborhoods. We presented the new plan that converted the project to more traditional single-family residential, front-loaded, consistent with Pecan Creek and the Trail of Shady Oaks that are the adjoining properties. The representatives conveyed to us an appreciation of our efforts and their support for the new plan. As Tom mentioned, that then led to the why are we here? And in reality, as we learned to really move forward with realizing that plan, it requires an amendment to the future land use plan. So this evening, we're requesting your consideration to remove the neighborhood center node from the southwest corner of Journey and County Road 175, and then also remove the mixed-use corridor, which is about a 500-foot long corridor adjacent to County Road 175 that requires higher density residential. At P&Z last week, approximately 25 residents stood here before P&Z and spoke of their support of our request and asked for it. In closing, we request your consideration of the land use plan amendment based on the individual study of this specific piece of property and its context to its surrounding neighbors, and the manner in which this request addressed concerns related to community character, vehicular traffic, and pedestrian safety that was expressed by those residents in May. And I appreciate your consideration. I'll be available for any questions.
Thank you, sir. Again, we do have several people signed up. Sandesh,
Good evening, everyone, and
state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Sandesh Puchalapalli, and I live in Pecan Creek, 2337 Millbrook Loop. And first of all, congratulations. The day I came, but full of crowd, they're not allowing me to talk. Congratulations and congratulations to the new team and all the people. And the reason why I came here, as the applicant stated at the previous planning, we come to this neighborhood around 2014. At the time, this is all single-family residential, like what he told, land use plan, future land use plan is the neighborhood residential. And we don't even know it is changing to mixed corridor. Then I'm studying. I learned a lot from last meeting, and I study all the usage and what is the terminology. There is a confusion between the zoning and a land use category. Land use category and a future land use is the one we are talking. And I try to execute my neighborhood. And one of my buddy and my friend Tim, he's not able to come today because of his home. One of his home is flooding, and I'm also telling he wants me to convey the message. And I am requesting everyone to approve this amendment to change the same demographics, how the Pecan Creek and the next neighborhood, Trails of Shady Oaks, and another neighborhood like Parkside of Maple Ranch, but it's under Georgetown, but it's very neighbor community. That's why I'm requesting to amend. I'll tell my reasoning why I'm requesting. Maybe you will agree or maybe someone disagree. One of the reason to everyone I saw, I drive the Journey Parkway to take to my work and drop my kid and go to my office. Ronald Reagan is very walkable distance, like 1.5 mile, and the entire Ronald Reagan is commercial bit. And there is one more proposal on the Cedar Park, and I think so they are approving. Sambas Road and 1431, they're also building more commercial. Then I'm not seeing any viable to build a commercial or a neighborhood zone there, and the people wants to walk and purchase something. That is one of my concerns, saying that I don't want there, and I can walk or I can drive to get something what I need from anyone. Another concern is that all neighborhood is under the single-family residential land use category. I want to make the same look and feel and everything. Those are my two things. I think so. My time is running out, and thank you very much. I'm kindly requesting to approve this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have Rakesh, and this is Grulia. Is that right?
Very close.
Okay. Welcome. State your name and address, please.
Thank you. My name is Rakesh Grulia,
Okay.
resident of Pecan Creek, 2725 Hudson Lane. And I moved here about a month ago to the beautiful city of Leander. I was a resident of Austin for about 8 years. And so I picked Leander because of the nature of and the how it is, the planning and everything is going on. So when I moved, and I started hearing about all the mixed use and that is going on. So we have small kids. There are a couple of schools, elementary and middle, just within probably a mile of the intersection. When I see that, one of the things that I liked is the small kids going on a bike, and the feel of that is the city. Once we have the commercial at the intersection, then that probably will be more traffic, and the safety of the kids, probably that will be compromised. So I request to kindly approve that, to have more single-family homes in there. Thank you. Thank you.
Michael Huber.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council members. Thank you for your time. Michael Huber, 2416 Great Path, Leander. The speakers are so articulate before me, the applicant, that I really have not a huge number of talking points after that. I concur what they said, but I would like to draw your attention to something, because I'm a fairly careful person when it comes to move and look and enjoy looking at comp plans and CIP plans. And one of the things I did before I moved to Leander is I took a look at the comprehensive use plan. And let's take a look at for a minute on attachment 2. If you look at this, is updated in 2015. Trails of Shady Oaks is the neighborhood to the east. That's where we live. And then Pecan Creek is off to the west there. What I noticed when I was looking at this was an oversight or a non-adherence to the comp plan, because Trails of Shady Oak, you see an overlay for a neighborhood center there. but half of that circle is eaten up by single family already. You see the mixed use on both sides of the roadway along County Road 175. Again, half of it sitting in residential that came into play before 2015. So somehow there's a disconnect there, and I'm not quite sure what happened there. But then does it really make sense or even fair to this particular developer to say, okay, we didn't enforce that on one side of the road, but hey, now we are on the other side of the road because we've got to follow the comp plan. Comp plan's a guide. It's a vision of our leadership and of the citizens, and really through proxy of the citizens to the leadership. And we don't want this. We don't need this. And P&Z heard this loud and clear when we came to multiple meetings, worked with the developer, and it just doesn't fit this environment. When you have single family to the south, although it is in Round Rock CTJ, you have single family to north, south, east, and west. It's just not a good fit, and it's not something we would care for in our neighborhood. We worked very hard with the developer, and we'd appreciate your support in modifying this comp plan, because really the comp plan said, hey, we got an arterial, we've got a collector, boom, we got a neighborhood center, which in a lot of cases makes a lot of sense when you have undeveloped land. This is not one of those cases. So I ask for your support this evening in voting to go ahead and change this comp plan, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Skylar Williams. State your name in the UT pledge, please.
Skylar Williams, Gig'em, 1955, County Road 175. Thank you. And I'm here for a couple of reasons. So first and foremost, we received overwhelming unanimous support from Planning and Zoning last week. So we actually decided to take it a little bit easier on you guys. Instead of having you hear from 30 or 40 people, we've got a handful here to actually express support for something and not opposition to something that's in front of this council. So first and foremost, I really do want to thank the SEC planning team and MI Homes. This process worked and did the right way, the right thing for the community, the right thing for the developer. The sole exception to that is the stance and the recommendation of denial by city staff. So that is something that I'd like for all of you to try to urge to get fixed. So with regards to this particular amendment, proposed amendment to the comprehensive plan, the only thing that I think made a lot of sense that Commissioner Nelson brought up is that the entire neighborhood center should be removed. I'd actually like to ask you guys to take that a step further, just because it's going to save everybody time and effort in the future. But I'd also ask that you remove the mixed-use corridor designation to County Road 175. And that is because of the culture and the character of the area, and there should not be unnecessary requirements imposed upon people. You should be able to consider higher density in commercial development, but you should not require it. And then further, to take that even one step more, would be to have an easy process to review the comprehensive plan at a macro level, because this is not the only area where the comprehensive plan is not appropriate. And you have the power to fix this, make it easier on the community, make it easier on the developers, and I just ask for your support and your action to actually do so. Thank you.
Venu, B-O-M-M-I-N-E-N-I.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. And my name is Venu Bominini, and I live at 2521 Blender Tree Ranch, Leander, Texas, and Trails of Cherry Oak is my community. So, as my
Can you get closer to the mic?
yeah, as my neighbor stated, so I need not to repeat the same things, but like I would request the council to approve this amendment to maintain the characteristics of the neighborhood. And as my neighbor stated, I also used to live in Austin for so long, so I moved. I chose the city of Leander as I like the community neighborhood characteristics, and like it is Ronald Reagan is so close with a lot of commercial options and like a lot of options to purchase the groceries or go for like shopping and everything. So we would like to have this County Road 175 being the a single family home zone if possible. So and we would like I would like to request you guys to approve this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That's the last speaker. Would anybody else like to speak on this item? Ma'am, you come up and state your name and address and then fill out a card afterwards.
Tim Thornton, 2324 Echo Park, Leander. I apologize for being late. I had a bit of a crisis in a flooded house I had to deal with. So this is the fourth time I think I've stood at this podium, first time in front of the City Council. Thank you for your time this evening. The issues are really simple. I think we're on change of zoning first. Is that correct? Yes? Is that? I'm sorry? Okay. So let me just make this really, really simple. So in full support of the things that are necessary in terms of zoning to make this community not tiny little bitty homes that are on lots that are between a half and a third of the size of lots in the two communities that are adjacent, or two of the three communities that are adjacent. The third one that's adjacent to this is much larger lots. So we would like to see this City Council approve the zoning changes and the proposal that's being presented by the builder for these larger homes that'll be adjacent to Pecan Creek and the Trails of Shady Oaks. Thank you.
Thank you. State your name and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Jillian Cooper and I live at 4317 Twisted Trees Drive in the Trail of Shady Oaks. And I'm here in support of SEC and MI Homes for their encouragement of removing this neighborhood center area around there. When I moved in that area, there was not this zoning and this comp plan out there. And we saw that Parkside had built water feature on the corner. Our neighborhood built a water feature on the corner as well. And we just crossed our fingers that the two neighboring farms would stay there, or there would be water features there as well for new neighborhoods. So to see the comp plan come out and kind of be different than what was expected, and to see a developer come out there and try to shoehorn in commercial on that corner was very disappointing and discouraging, especially for the environmental aspect of it. Not so worried about the zoning. We need mixed, and medium density type things, but the commercial just didn't need to be there. Those roads are too tiny. We have a lot of students that are crossing now to get to Stiles and Aiken as rezoning happens, and we add 2, possibly 3 more schools in this area to support all of this growth. There's going to be more kids walking around this area, and to have commercial and mixed-use corridor there just really isn't a great idea. And so we're hoping that you'll approve this, and we appreciate that they've put this out there for this to be done on their corner, as well as hopefully the entire node gets removed. I know that not everyone, including, the planning people, agree with every bit of that, and some would vote against it, and some of you may. So we just hope that we get a majority of folks that feel the same way we do about how that area should be built to preserve, ecological stuff that's there, as well as just the community feel. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's the last speaker signed up. Would anybody else like to speak on this item? Anyone? All right. We're going to move to discuss and consider action on an ordinance requiring comprehensive plan amendment 18-CPA-003, requesting to remove the southwest quadrant of the neighborhood center located at the intersection of Journey Parkway and County Road 175, and remove the mixed-use corridor located along County Road 175, Leander, Williamson County, Texas. Council?
I'll motion to approve.
I second.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Seiler with a second by Councilmember Cannon. Is there any discussion?
I'd just like to say something, because I think this needs to be said. When the comp plan, this comp plan was approved, we had a group of citizens from Leander who live throughout Leander on the committee to form this comp plan. And so they looked at it and they tried to figure out where would be best to have certain types of buildings and plan out what was going to go in. And they knew that there needed to be commercial. So this node was put in at that time. And our city staff, their job is to follow the comp plan and to encourage it. So this is the process that's happening, and this is the process that we have to amend and change things that may be a little off. So whether our final vote is to approve it or not, I would just like to say that the staff was doing their job. And if they don't follow our ordinances in recommending the building, they can get fired, okay? I just want to let everybody know that they're not the bad guys. But we will have another comprehensive plan commission coming forward in the next year or so. And we encourage you, anyone here, to sit on it so that you can have your input on where the future of this city is going to go and how we're going to plan it. So I just wanted to say that.
I agree with that, and I want to just add that the comprehensive plan is a guide, but it's the guide that we work through, and this is the process to deviate from it. And in this situation, I think it does make sense to deviate from it, but there has to be an overriding roadmap for the city to follow and creating developments. So that's where this came from, and it's really good to hear you guys come out and speak for what you believe your neighborhood needs, and we just wanted you to understand the rest of the process.
I just wanted to add that I think it's amazing in this case that the neighbors and the developer and the landowner all got together to find a good solution. And that, yes, the comp plan and the future land use map is a guide, but you really do have to look at every single parcel of land. This particular corner, it's got almost 6 acres of the riparian corridor going through it, and it's got topography that is not suited for commercial use. And when the comp plan and the future land use map are created, you know, that whole team creating it, they're not going out to every single site location and looking at it. So I think I'm just really proud of the way our citizens worked with the developer to come up with a really good solution and plan.
The only thing I'll add is the first gentleman that spoke, one of the things you said that it kind of made me think that even though I made the motion is, you know, Cedar Park's building a real nice mixed-use thing right there at the end of San Gabriel Road, and that's great, but that means that all the residents that live over there are probably going to go to Cedar Park, and that's where their tax dollars are going to spend. And that's one of the things that we're trying to avoid as a city is having opportunities in Leander that you can use you spend your tax dollars. And I think that's kind of where that started and how that node got put in there. So just as a
spend your money
other thing to think
in
about.
Leander, please.
So go to the Cold Springs Market.
There you go.
And I kind of want to echo everybody else's sentiments here. And, you know, the thing about it is that a plan is not anything but a plan. I mean, it really has to get down to real people and how it affects real people. And that's up to us to react when we see how it affects people. And sometimes you have to change the plan. So it is what it is, but we want to be reactive to real people and how you feel about it affecting your houses. So I appreciate everybody coming out, and I encourage you to stay engaged in the process. Having said that, we have a first and second. All in favor? All right. It passes unanimously. Okay, we move to item 17, conduct a public hearing and consider action regarding zoning case 18-Z-010 to amend the current zoning of Interim SFR-1-B to SFC-2-A, single-family compact, on 3 parcels of land approximately 69.1 acres in size, more particularly described by Williamson Central Appraisal District parcels R031570 R031573 and R031574, generally located to the southwest of the intersection of Journey Parkway and County Road 175. Leander, Williamson County, Texas. Mr. Yanis.
Thank you, Mayor. This is also a public hearing and first reading of a rezoning case for the property that we just spoke of in the last case. The applicant's request was for the single-family compact district for the entirety of the property. After considering the item at their meeting last week, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the rezoning with the condition that the applicant include another zoning use component that includes at least 20% of the lots within the subdivision to be in compliance with the composite zoning ordinance requirement that projects between 30 and 90 acres incorporate at least 2 zoning use components. The applicant has subsequently stated that they are in support of the Planning and Zoning Commission's motion, and I will be happy to answer any questions after the public hearing. I believe the applicant would like to speak on the item as well.
Peter Verdicchio at SEC Planning. This time I promise I'll be brief. I remember going through this last week and feeling kind of awkward stepping back up immediately for the next item. As Tom said, we request your consideration. The application was made for straight zoning of single-family compact two-way, highest architectural standards for single-family lots. And we were seeking that request for the ability to develop 50-foot lots on the property, which we really feel is a strong market segment right now in the greater Austin area. We were aware of the requirement for the 2 zoning districts, so we didn't make the request for one just out of ignorance. It was actually intentional, as quite honestly part of the negotiation discussion with the residents that surround the property. We went from a PUD with 300 plus units down to 230 that will be able to achieve approximately with the single-family compact, adding a less dense zoning, most likely 60-foot lots would take that number even lower. So we made the application just quite honestly in good faith. We've been communicating with the residents. We understood where we all stood, made that request. With that said, should council decide to support the P&Z recommendation of the 20%, we accept that and would be appreciative of that recommendation from the council. Available for any questions should you have them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We do have several people signed up to speak. Number 1, Tim Thornton.
Much less what I'm saying this evening, so I apologize for that. I guess the overarching statement that I'd like to make this evening that kind of applies to all of these things really is in reference to Jeff, your comments and some of the echoes of that comment. The community feels as though this city has historically not listened to the voice of the community. That's the reason some of us fought in this last election to try to change the mix, to try to change the seat of our mayor, and try to get some folks on the city council, as well as try to change a mix that this city might actually start thinking first about all of the citizens rather than just maybe a few of the developers and citizens. When every hill becomes a hill that the Planning Commission is willing to die on because the comprehensive plan says so, I think that's a problem. And I think the fact that it becomes a hill that everybody's willing to die on is the problem, okay? Rather than looking at the plan and asking the question, does this really make sense? Swords are blazing and fights ensue, and we have to spend countless hours organizing, explaining to people what's going on, and trying to bring neighbors up to speed so that everybody knows what we know after we've spent 20 or 30 hours trying to figure it out. You know what that burden is like because you volunteer your time in the city council, and you give tremendously to this city. And so for that, we're very appreciative. So part of what you're hearing from these voices tonight and the last 4 times or 3 times that we've stood at this podium and we've petitioned this is that voices should be heard, not just when we get to the 4th indenture of the meeting, but starting at the first indenture of the meeting and the first engagement. I think the questions need to be asked. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next is Sam Dash.
Hi, this is Sandesh Puchalapalli, and my address is 2337 Millbrook Loop, Leander, Texas. And thank you for your comments and thank you for approval for the amendment. The reason why I told him means I live in the corner of the almost Cedar Park, Round Rock, and Williamson County zone. The way I go and shop is only nearest is Cedar Park. That's one of the reason I like his ideology, the way that he presented when he's doing the election campaign and everything, because of Leander needs more commercial and more, but this is not the place. I'm asking more density. If you put more commercial here, instead of developing the Ronald Reagan, if there is a shopping complex near to my community, but I cannot go and drive it because there is no shops. That area needs to develop faster. That's why we are kindly requesting to develop the commercial as soon as possible. Then, as a citizen of Leander, I need to go and spend the money in the Leander city, not in the Cedar Park neighborhood city, because I don't have a shopping mall. If I want to drive HEB, I need to drive all the way here to spend the money. Thank you very much. I'm not opposing any of your comments. I really like to speak out. That's why I speak out. And I need to appreciate the developer and their time and effort to give us a proposal to change it. And they listen our comments. That's all I need to appreciate. But I'm 100% not agreeing the single zone. I'm recommending the staffer comments. I'm agreeing with the staffer comments to make it a mixed zone. But only I raise 2 points. The point number 1, the high density. Now, if you see let me step back. I'll talk about the zoning first. The zoning, if you see the Pecan Creek is divided into 2 zonings. One is SFC is 70 lots, around 70 lots, and SFU is almost 170 some change. And if you go to the Trials of Shady Oaks, is more SFU and another 80 feet lots SFC, I think so. But maybe is there any possible to make the same demographics? Like, I don't know how it is possible. Maybe more SFUs and less SFCs. I'm simply requesting. I'm not denying. I don't want to deny their application. I'm requesting and begging the developer, is it possible? And is there any recommendation you guys make it? Because right now my son is going to elementary school. And yesterday is a kinder camp, and that campus is full. Almost 147 kids are coming. Almost 7 schools are there. 7 classes are there. That's why we need a school. And if we have more homes here, there is high density will be there. And that is my first point. And the second point is the traffic. Still, we are not solving the traffic because Journey Parkway, there is no way we cannot expand the Journey Parkway. That's why I'm requesting to approve with some conditions. That's all I need to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Rakesh?
My name is Rakesh Gulia, 2725 Hudson Lane. And so I have reviewed the plan, and it is, as I mentioned, it's just been 30 days, then I have been like drinking from a fire hose, looking at the comprehensive plan, now looked at it, and first I want to appreciate everybody's efforts, and it was mentioned that how the plan was laid out, and I think everybody agrees that there was a great job, that was done at it, and there's nothing, nobody's saying that there was something wrong, but the situation is changing. The schools are there now, which were not there before. So, and I'll be shopping in Leander for sure. I'll find the shops. I know where there is always if there is a will, there is a way. So we will definitely go there. So what I'm requesting is there is on the Pecan Creek there is a mixed community on the other side also. But in the this phase, that it is being requested that all the homes will be single-family compact. I think probably that will not be a good mix for the community overall, and it will also increase the density in the area. The whole, and it is just like that, the purple line that is showing, it is when the community will be built, that will be just looking like exactly the same community. So all we are requesting is that it will be just matching the whole thing. If it is expanded in just the same exact kind of a mixed limit that is being built in the Pecan Creek. So I'll really appreciate that. I'm requesting just to, the plan is good, but it is, if we can add a little bit more, a bigger home, so that will be nicer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jillian Cooper.
Hello again. Jillian Cooper, 4317 Twisted Trees Drive. And I'm not here to speak against my Pecan Creek neighbors or anyone else. I support whatever the city decides to do with this proposal. I think that we do need more medium density and kind of mixed zoning. I think that when we look at the schools and the other planning that are out there and the marketing and the stuff that all of these developers and people who are building these communities have to look at, you have to look at what's going to feed into the schools and things as well and what people need. And there is still a need for empty nesters, single, people who are building their lives and can't afford these 80-foot lots and $500,000 homes or don't want to maintain that much. So 50-foot lots all across is certainly, acceptable. There's all of the information that's come out recently in all of the studies saying that people are looking for 45 and 35 and 40-foot lots because that's what's affordable right now for builders to build on. So I can understand where MI and SEC started with these compact and smaller home lots. And I think forcing them into doing the 80-20 split may or may not be the right solution. I don't know. I don't have all the answers or all the experience that everyone does in planning and zoning or here at council. But I think that, you can make the best decision for the builder and for everyone in the community in knowing what's right and what's needed in this area to support the growth that's going to support the city. And with all of the, building that's going on, we have so much, daycare need and commercial and everything going up in Cold Springs, up on Crystal Falls. There's more communities coming in that are also some of these smaller compact sizes. And I don't see the opposition there as well from as many neighbors. So I think that some of it can just be based on bias of what you've bought and where you live and what you want to keep there. But I think we need to still look at diversity and what's needed for the area and keeping the school system balanced, as well, and not overloading an area with high density or too much medium density where you're going to overload a school before another one can be built. So please take that into consideration as well.
Thank you. Michael Huber.
Michael Huber, 2416 Great Path. Thank you again, Mayor and council members. I speak in support of the P&Z recommendation as the developer said, it wasn't their goal, but it's where we got through the negotiation process, so I'm firmly in support of it. A couple of comments in support of staff as well as Mayor Pro Tem mentioned. This was not an attack on staff. I understand the ACM's position and the planning manager's position and the responsibility. I've been in their shoes on the receiving end, and I know how it feels. So wholeheartedly support them and understand where they're coming from. The Place 5 council member, wholeheartedly agree with you. Our tax dollars need to be spent in Leander. Would encourage, I do not know where we stand on economic development, if we're pursuing or can even afford a 4A or a 4B or larger TERS zones or something to start jump-starting that, or even if the city's working on that. But if we are, highly encourage it, because our nail salons, our hair cutters, our dentists, as great as they are and as convenient as they are, they're not going to get our sales tax where it needs to be so we can tackle some of our infrastructure issues that we're coming up with in the next, up against in the next 10 years. So let's go fetch those big boxes, those Home Depots, those Walmarts, the quality of life that we want in our city, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Skylar Williams.
Skylar Williams, 1955, County Road 175. So my biggest point here is we have a phenomenal plan that was proposed by the developer that's supported by the community, and you need to approve it regardless of which zoning or zonings are selected. I will tell you that there is complete support from the community for the mixed zoning approach, but I'd also like to see you guys reward this type of behavior from developers and consider their application of a single zoning. Whether it needs to be a PUD, I don't know all the official process and procedure, but we need to reward this type of behavior for developers to work with the city and work with the community and do the right thing at the end of the day. I mean, and I do disagree a little bit. I'm sorry, Councilmember Stevenson. I think that the comprehensive plan is a plan, and city staff can easily understand that it is just a plan and approve common sense and logical support for a change to that plan. So I don't agree that they should be denying an application like this against the support of the community, against the developer. Once again, on a macro scale, I think the city needs to change the way that they do business to a certain degree to make it more developer friendly, to make it more community friendly. And I will tell you, one of the things that I personally want to do, because over the course of the last 6 months or more, I've actually spoken to a lot of the home builders and residential developers. I haven't talked much on the commercial side, but there is some feedback that our elected officials really need to hear, that they're not hearing today because of fear of speaking up due to the potential implications of doing so with city staff in particular. So the city needs to change the approach and the way that it's doing business, and I would be happy to provide you guys anonymous input from not only residential developers and builders, but also small business owners. That's the other big thing that needs to change in this city. And I want to be an advocate for all of those people, and I'm willing to speak to each and every one of you about what I have heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Ganesh Spatla. State your name and address, sir.
Hi, I'm Ganesh Potla. I live 3709 Carrier Drive, Leander, Texas. Thank you for giving the opportunity to speak about these things. And I would like to actually follow what you guys doing, but if you guys try to make it like more SFUs, like more high density houses, then at least we have only like nearest street to come out to the Pecan Creek right now are almost like 270 houses. There's only one street that people come out to go to that school. That means like if you think about 7:30 to almost 9 o'clock, all the cars, like everyone at least they need to go 2 times, maybe sometimes like we have now 2 schools in the same area. And it's getting too much crowded, and they put like almost like they are planning to put 230 houses kind of. Everyone, they would like to come with the shortest way to come to the school. Then what I don't know, actually you guys said like try to get like more bigger houses kind of, like less people staying in that area to come out of the school, like everyone they need to go to school, and morning times everyone they need to go to offices almost 2 hours is going to be too much traffic. Means for me, I'm living at a corner, and it's a problem to take out the car itself. If you get like too many, now itself is getting harder. Okay, thank you for giving the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Shiva, Vinukonda. Yes, that's what I said.
Hi, good evening. My name is Shiva Vinukonda. I live in 2604 Hudson Lane, Leander, Texas, and I thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate Builder and everyone who are working towards getting a more look and feel like neighborhood communities. And I would like to make this request. Leander being more of a green city, I would like to keep that heritage culture as well, to keep it as green as it is now. So if we have bigger lots, I feel there is more possibility of having more heritage trees, as city staff suggested. I appreciate them as well for the suggestion. So I appreciate this plan, and I also make this request to everyone to have more of bigger laws like SFUs, so that we can preserve the heritage trees. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Jopjit. Hope I didn't do really bad on that one. Jopjit. Oh, sorry.
Okay, I'm Georgit Roy from 2505 Leander Tree Ranch Drive. So thanks for this opportunity to explain my concern. So I really, appreciate the plan that you approve and the builder already proposed. So I'm raising a small concern here, though I believe that going to be a bigger concern in future, the traffic part. So actually, I am living just opposite to the proposed community in Trails of Shady Oak, the lower part, where you can see 4 or 5 buildings at the edge of the Trails of Shady Oak, right, at the corner, just opposite. So the problem, what I see that during the morning time, say starting from 8:30 to 10:30, right, when there's a heavy traffic. So half of the population of this Trails of Shady Oak community, there is an exit at the bottom, right? They came out from there, they go up, wait there, and probably during the rush hour, there are 4 or 5 cars before that stop signal, and then take a U-turn and go towards the Round Rock, because most of the office area are there, right? Or they have to take, left turn, take the Journey Parkway, right? So there is always like morning time, there are 4 or 5 minutes waiting time. So with this new community, when it is completed, the population, this traffic would increase, what I believe. Like the wait time could be 8-9 minutes. I don't know, just guessing. So what I'm proposing here, a change in the plan. There are some effort required from developer side, a little small plan change. I'm coming to that point. And probably the city council and mayors have to think of adding a small changes on the road. So what I am proposing, the main entrance of the proposed community is just down opposite side of that lower entrance of Trails of Shady Oak, right? So what you can do, you just move it a little up, make it at level of this lower entrance of Trails of Shady Oak, and make a cut in between the road. So what will happen, those people, half of these community members who are coming out of that lower entrance, they don't have to take a U-turn, which will reduce the traffic and that, stop sign, right? They'll just take the car and go down. Similarly, the new community people, right? If they want to go up, what they have to do, they have to just, with this new proposed plan, they have to go down, take a U-turn and go up. Instead of that, they just use the cut and then they can go up. So that's what I think, and I just wanted to express. I don't know whether I could have expressed it properly because I don't have an elaborate plan here. But if you understood, then just think of it and take action accordingly. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. It's the last speaker I've signed up, but would anybody else like to speak on this item? Sir? Give your name and address, and afterwards, if you fill out a card, they're located in the back.
We'll do that, sir. I'm Raghu Papli from Pecan Creek, 2625 Steesway, Leander, Texas. I live in Pecan Creek right there to the west side of the proposed lot. And as you can see, we have 80% or even more than 80% SFU zone lots there and less than 20% SFC zone. And to the east side of that proposed lot, you can see Trails of Shady Oak, which has more than about 80% SFU zone and 20% SFS zone. So that's an area with majority of SFU zoning. So we have this proposal today where they want to come up with majority, and I think after the last week's meeting, the builder has proposed right now that they are going to honor the 80%, 20% mixed zoning thing, where they would have 20% SFU, I guess, but 80% would be SFC. So that I see as a concern because, as you can see, the lot right north of that, there is a 100-acre bit there, and this community would actually set an example for all the future developments along that particular road. So today, Journey Parkway is a 2-lane road, and we have 2 schools on there, and we have 400 plus acres of land that is still yet to be developed. So if we just putting it forward, if we start approving these smaller neighborhood lots over here, we have more homes coming over here, and Journey Parkway is being used by many people, not just Trails of Shady Oak. There is a community right north of it that comes under Georgetown, but that is Journey Parkway is their way to get onto Ronald Reagan. And there are like 1,000 homes, that's a 1,000-home community that parkside at Merrifield Ranch. So I see traffic is going to be a bigger concern going forward because we are still at a very early stages of the development of Journey Parkway. So there is a lot of development that's going to come along that way, and I see that that's going to be a bottleneck in going forward. So I think city should do something right now. They should start today and make a call as to what we can do with Journey Parkway. Can this be a 4-lane road going forward? No. Then let's see how much more undeveloped land we have. You can see on the west side of Pecan Creek, there's a 120 plus acre bit lot. So even that is going to, today on a 70 acre lot, if you have 235 homes, on a 130 acre lot, we would have double that. So if everybody follows suit, this is going to turn into a traffic bottleneck on Journey Parkway. So when a community like Pecan Creek or Trails of Shady Oak or, we are the first ones to be there, could do something like this, we shouldn't be encouraging others to, start something different. That is just my thought on the traffic concern. And also on the greenery side, the city staff recommends that there is a clause, there is a wording in there saying that the city staff recommends larger lot zoning recommendation because, to save the heritage trees and stuff. I'm totally in favor to that because...
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak on this item? If you'd state your name and address, sir, and then fill out a card.
My name is Venu Bomineni, and I live at 2521 Blender Tree Ranch Drive, Leander, Texas. As one of my neighbors said, the median break which we have currently is right where the Trails of Shady Oak is starting. So, the developer wants to use that as a main entrance to the new proposed lot. So as my neighbor suggested, the median break, if we could move and have it centered to the entrance of the Trails of Shady Oak, that could be helpful for both the communities to have a roundabout, so that there need not to be an extra another mile roundabout trip that could save gas, and we can save to the environment for all these pollution. So that's the sincere request I have when we speak to the developer suggested that city need to spend some money on it to have that median for the Trails of Shady Oak and to the new proposed community to have the same at the same median break, have the entrances. So I would request city to approve that money to have that median break, so that it can reduce a lot of more than hundreds of trips in the morning to have that roundabout with the stop sign. So thank you. That's all.
Anyone else? Okay, we're going to move to discuss and consider action on the first reading of an ordinance regarding zoning case 18-Z-010, generally located to the southwest of the intersection of Journey Parkway and County Road 175, Leander, Williamson County, Texas. Council?
I'll motion to approve the planning and zoning and staff recommendation.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Councilmember Seiler with a second by Councilmember Sederquist. Is there any discussion?
Well, do we need to specify what kind of zoning?
The lots.
And the size of the lots and the percentages?
Yes.
So it's 20%.
Right.
20% SFU 2A.
Yes, thank you. And then between first and second reading, the applicant will prepare a new map that shows the boundary of the districts.
Perfect.
Sorry, was that 20% of SFU?
Yes.
Okay.
And the remaining SFC?
Yes, ma'am.
would like to ask SEC some questions, please. So, when you originally submitted the plan based on the comp plan as it is, how many units did you have?
300.
300. And this plan has 50-foot lots, correct?
Yes.
And you said you're down to 230?
234.
Okay. If you were to add 20% 60-foot lots, what does that bring your unit number?
It's in the mid-220s.
Okay.
So, as was mentioned, as Tom mentioned in spirit of your question, we have studied and analyzed the P&Z recommendation since last Thursday. And Robin had shared with me that we would have time before the next meeting in 2 weeks to kind of define those lines and those boundaries. And so we've been studying that in this past week. You know, and one of the things I'll share with you that we did discuss, and it sounds quite logical to say you go with larger lots, you're going to save more trees. But let me just share with you some math. If you put a 40-foot house on a 50-foot lot, you have 5 feet on each side to save trees. If you put a 50-foot house on a 60-foot lot, you have 5 feet on each side to save trees. And you're now spanning grades of 50-foot slab versus a 40-foot slab. So what logically would sound, okay, bigger lots means saving more trees, in this case may not necessarily be the case. But we've been studying it to try to understand where the best spots on the property would be to logically, much like everybody's using the other examples and previous developers are using as examples, studied their properties on where would it be best to put the larger lots versus the smaller. We've started doing that. And if your recommendation is that we have the two with the 20%, 60 foots, we would have that ready for you for the next meeting for your consideration.
Do you have the tree survey already?
Yes, ma'am.
Completed? You do?
Yes.
And
to give perspective,
how much of this is in the floodplain? Because we
there
don't have any
is, boy, talk about touching on a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
One of the council members mentioned during the comp plan discussion that 6+ acres of the site is riparian corridor. There is 0.0 acres of floodplain on this property.
Congratulations.
So we are one of those properties that has 6 acres of riparian corridor, but absolutely no floodplain.
So I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I was trying to go with your analogy on the lot size, but however, can't you just put a smaller home on the smaller lot size and still?
Larger.
Yeah.
Smaller home on the larger lot size.
Right.
I think what she's saying is
You don't
just
have
because
to
you go up
give the
10
5
feet in
foot
width.
lot line.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. You could. But that's housing 101. That's the markets. That's what happens. And you even heard it from some of the people here speaking. If you get an 80-foot lot, you're going to put a 70-foot house. You do a 70-foot lot, you're going to put, unless you're in the city of Georgetown that has 6-foot sides, and then you're taking 12 feet off. That's the way the housing market works on these standard production size home lots.
But correct me if I'm wrong, your buyers could buy a
choose a
50-foot lot and put a 40-foot
Will you guys allow that?
house
Will you
size on
specify 50s on 60s?
Is that?
I mean, it's a possibility, but I mean, it's, you know, you talk industry standards, that's just what happens with industry
You
standards.
charge a lot premium based on the lot size, and then you dictate what you're allowed to put on there. But, I mean, lot fit would say that you could put a smaller product on that lot.
I'm on an 85-foot
You could,
lot, and
absolutely.
I didn't build a 70-foot wide
That's all we're saying.
house.
Sir, I had a question. Going back
Yes, sir.
to the riparian, and you're losing 6 acres there.
Yes.
Can you tell us how often, in your experience, you run into losing that much land when you're not in the floodplain?
Quite often, sir.
Okay. All right. That's all I have. Is there any
I think
other
it's interesting
discussion?
that we started out with 300 plus units, very dense, and none of the neighbors wanted that. So you guys have acquiesced. And is there any reason why you wouldn't go for 20% of 40-foot lots?
40 foot's not. It's SFL.
When P&Z made the recommendation that it would just simply be the split, they didn't specify 60s. They didn't specify a specific zoning district. They just said the two. Admittedly, we did sit down as a team internally on Friday morning and discuss. The primary reason why we would move forward with the 60s as recommended by P&Z is otherwise we need to start the process over. And quite honestly, we have built so much good faith and trust with the community, the residents, that we don't want to start the process over. So again, it's kind of continuing with the spirit of being open and working together. That's why we would not consider the 40s.
Okay. And you would have to start it over specifically for the 40-foot lots?
It's my understanding. I'm not sure if it's state law. Thank you, Tom. Yeah. Appreciate it.
So the way it was advertised was for the single-family compact district. You can't do any less restrictive district without re-notifying the public.
Okay, great. Okay, then I had another question in regards to the roads.
Yes.
So I understand that area, whether it's the Parkside intersection or this intersection, ranks number 10 on Leander's most accident-prone intersections. And those who live in that area would probably believe that. And so I'm wondering on county, and I don't know if this is a question for you or for staff, on County Road 175 where Barhoe Ranch comes out onto County Road 175 out of, is that Trails?
Yes, ma'am.
Where is your entrance exit planned for 175? I guess that's my
So
question.
it's a very unique, complicated situation before us. For whatever reason, in the design of County Road 175, the median break was not lined up with Trails of Shady Oak, but rather it's lined up with the Simpson family's driveway to their property.
Okay.
So in the plans that we have prepared with the requested zoning that we've presented to the residents, as is kind of an industry practice, we lined up with that existing median break. As I was trying to explain to some of the residents after the last meeting, we go through steps in a process. Comp plan, amendment, land use. Next would be plat, parkland, transportation. And, should the transportation department, planning department want to explore removing that median break and moving it up to create a safer four-way, that kind of would happen at that next step, and we'd be open to having those conversations. But that's the concern that you're hearing from a couple of residents, and all we're doing, quite frankly, is just lining up with an existing median break that's there today.
Okay.
It appears that there are two median breaks to the south that you could use on there. There seem to be. I don't know. I was looking at the Google map, and it looked like there were two of them that could be possibly used.
But unfortunately, neither of them solved the problem in Trail of Shady
Yes,
Oaks.
I know.
That's really the problem here.
Yes.
So, I acknowledge there is a unique problem there that needs a more global look.
So at least for your development, you're going to line it up with one of the median breaks?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. And then your entrance on Journey Parkway, is there a median break on that section?
Journey does not have
There's
a
not a
median,
median.
and from what I understand, there's not one intended in the future to have a median.
So coming out of this neighborhood, the only way you can turn is east?
You'd be able to make a left turn.
There's no median?
Correct.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Now I understand. Thank you.
And then we do connect, as we're talking transportation, we do comply with city code and ordinance on connecting the 2 points into Pecan Creek per ordinance.
Great. Perfect. Thank you.
I wanted to mention one other thing related to the riparian corridor area. Because it's not in the floodplain, they'll get 100% credit for that land for their parkland dedication. And this project will need about 8.5 acres of parkland, so it's almost the exact same area.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
That's good. Thank you.
Any other discussion? We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor? All opposed? All right, it passes. Thank you very much. I just wanted to commend the developer on this because your, communication with everyone, I think, was awesome, and we'd like to see more of that, and I think it worked out to a good outcome. Thank you very much.
I'll second.
Okay, we're going to move to number 18, conduct a public hearing regarding zoning case 18-Z-018 to amend the current zoning of Interim SFR-1-B, single-family rural district to LC-2-B, local commercial district, on one parcel of land approximately 1.08 acres in size, more particularly described by Williamson Central Appraisal District Parcel R031512, generally located at the southwest corner of the intersection of South Bagdad Road and Eagles Way, and more commonly known as 801 South Bagdad Road, Leander, Williamson County, Texas. Mr. Yanis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a public hearing and first reading of a rezoning ordinance for this property that's at the southwest corner of the intersection of Eagles Way and Bagdad Road. This property was annexed last year with the Falcon Oaks neighborhood, and there's an existing commercial use that is an existing nonconforming use after the annexation. The applicant's proposal is to establish permanent zoning in compliance with the land use plan. The request is for the local commercial use component. The applicant requested the LC2B district, and the Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the LC2A district, and subsequently the applicant has said that they are in support of the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation. The applicant is here, and I would also be happy to answer any questions that the council may have after the public hearing.
Does the applicant want to give a talk?
Not really. Greg Petrell, 801 South Baghdad. We just want to go with what he suggested. Everything is fine with us.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. We don't have anybody signed up. Would anybody like to speak on this item? All right, so we're going to move on to discuss and consider action on the first reading of ordinance regarding zoning case 18-018, more commonly known as 801 South Baghdad Road, Leander, Williamson County, Texas. Council.
A motion to approve.
I'll second.
Third.
You're slow.
And in stereo. I have a motion to approve by Councilmember Stevenson, the second by Councilmember Shepard. Is there any discussion here? All in favor? All right, passes unanimously. I would like to take a short old man break, if we could, for 8 minutes. We are now in recess at 8:23. Thank you. All right, so we're going to reconvene. We're going to move to our regular agenda. First is number 19, discuss and consider action on the first reading of an ordinance regarding zoning case 18-Z-005 to amend requirements associated with the Horseshoe Drive Townhouses PUD plan unit development with the base zoning district of SFT-2-A single-family townhouse, one parcel of land approximately 4.7306 acres in size, more commonly particularly described by Williamson Central Appraisal District Parcel R036460, commonly known as 510 Horseshoe Drive, Leander, Williamson County, Texas. Mr. Yanis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item was, the public hearing on this item was held at the last council meeting, and then the council postponed action to this meeting. The applicant has requested that action be postponed until the August 16th meeting.
Okay.
So if the council would like to make a motion to do so, that would be
I'll make
great.
that motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to postpone till 8:16 by Councilmember Navarrete. We have a second by Councilmember Seiler. All in favor? Passes unanimously.
I'm sorry, can I quickly ask, did the applicant ask for the 16th, or did they ask for additional
It's
time?
my understanding that they did. I have an email from the applicant.
I just don't want to
let
get
me-
into a
let me
situation
just-
where we're postponing.
Yeah,
the,
sure. Let me just check real quick, if you will indulge me here.
Sorry.
That helps me think.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the 16th.
Did you pull it up? Okay.
I found the email.
Yes.
It is the
it
16th.
is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We did not vote.
Okay.
I think y'all voted.
We did.
Second.
We voted.
We did vote?
Yes.
Yeah.
Takes a village.
Okay, number 20. Discuss and consider action on the second reading of an ordinance regarding zoning case 18-TOD-Z-013 to amend the current zoning of PUD, TOD, Plan Unit Development, Transit-Oriented Development to PUD, TOD, Plan Unit Development, Transit-Oriented Development with the following base zoning districts: SFT-2-A, Single Family Townhouse, MF-2-A, Multifamily, and GC-3-A, General Commercial, on 2 parcels of land approximately 77.234 acres in size, more particularly described by Williamson Central Appraisal District parcels R051592 and R403524, generally located southwest of the intersection of RM 2243 and 183A Toll Road, Leander, Williamson County, Texas. Mr. Yanis.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the second reading of this zoning case. As the council will remember, at the last meeting, the council approved the rezoning with a number of conditions, including those recommended by the staff, those recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then some additional items that the council identified. In the intervening week, the applicant has worked with the staff to make those adjustments to the PUD notes as well as to the conceptual site layout and land use plan, and I believe all of y'all received a updated version of both of those showing the red line changes to the notes as well as the new exhibit. The new conceptual site layout and land use plan is on the screen as well as in your email that you received today. And then the PUD note red line was also emailed to you. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. I do believe that the applicant has addressed all of the requirements of the council's motion in their revisions, and so I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council may have about those changes, and I know the applicant is here and would be happy to just answer any questions as well.
Did the applicant want to address the council? No. Okay, so I do have some speakers signed up. Tina Ritter. You state your name and address.
Sure. Tina Ritter, 1000 Overlook Bend, Leander, Texas. Thank you for listening to our voice 2 weeks ago. I'm sure after the last few agenda items that you'll be happy to notice that not many of my neighbors are here tonight, so maybe we'll keep it a little faster. But please don't take their absence as a sign of disinterest or their approval of the now modified variances. Many feel that the red line proposal that's before us tonight is a done deal since they've seen it announced on Facebook as having passed council 2 weeks ago. And they kind of even wondered what was the purpose of coming for the second reading for their input. So I'm still here because I have concerns. And one major concern that I have is that the drawings finally submitted with this week's agenda, they really vary significantly from the ones that were originally presented to us as a neighborhood. I know you don't have those, but just 3 months ago, we met with the developer and we saw really lovely video of Crystal Lagoon and paddle boards and boats and bridges and really lovely things. And what we see in the drawings today is very different from that. Purposefully or not, developers' plans change, and they can change within the zoning and the variances that are allowed. And I just want to respectfully request that the council consider the high density variance that's being requested by the developer. I've seen high-density housing before. Mr. Neary's done it before, so it's nothing new for him, some of which ended up in Section 8 housing in Houston. And we don't want this development to turn into a high-density apartment community with just a few small businesses there to justify its existence. We'd like it to be what it was originally presented to us as a neighborhood. But that's what the drawings look like to me. They're very different from the ones we saw originally. So we'd just like you to consider that and protect our community from ultra-high-density apartment communities that maybe don't make sense next to neighborhoods. So, thank you.
Thank you. Greg Brown.
I'm Greg Brown. I live at 937 McCavitt Drive. Over the past 2 weeks, I've been talking to my neighbors in Leander Crossing. I have not talked to anyone that opposes the commercial part of this development. The mixed-use area that I think the council envisions, involving restaurants, entertainment venues, especially ones that are family-friendly, combined with retail and office space, would be a great addition to Leander. It would be nice to not have to go to Cedar Park every time we want to take advantage of these types of amenities. I don't have anything against Cedar Park, but I would prefer to spend my money in Leander. It would be good to have more office jobs available, more office space. Our concern involves the apartments and general development plan. We are very concerned about the developer's request to more than double the density allowed on the apartments and don't understand why complexes of more than 3 stories are needed in Leander. When describing the development, we hear a lot about the apartments and what will happen in Phase 1 and Phase 2. At the end of the spiel, we get what seem to be throw-in lines about having letters of intent on the commercial side. We have heard from the gentleman that wants to construct office space for his company. I think that's perfect for this development and hope he knows other people that want to do the same. Then we hear over and over again about the movie theater and the bowling complex. However, since the developer has stated unequivocally that they will not do any spec commercial development, I wonder how many other letters of intent they actually have at this point and what types of businesses they are. I am concerned that we will end up with a really massive apartment complex without the desired commercial development being completed in a timely fashion or even at all. As I drive around Leander, it appears there are already several other apartment complexes in various stages of development. I wonder if Leander really wants or even needs more apartments at this time, especially ones with the density proposed by the developer. In closing, I would like to respectfully ask that the council deny the applicant's request to more than double the allowed apartment density. I don't know if something can be put in the agreement that would tie the development of the commercial side to the apartment construction, but I personally would get more of a warm, fuzzy feeling about the project if Phase 2 of the apartments could not be started until a certain percentage of the commercial part had been completed. I would like to thank the council for hearing my comments.
Thank you, sir. Michelle Brown.
Michelle Brown, 937 McCavitt, and I didn't see this till just about 30 seconds ago. I looked on the agenda, I looked online, I tried to find some concept plan so I had a clue what I was going to be looking at tonight. Didn't know. And really our whole concern is what you mentioned last week about why can't we just make it all commercial? Well, we'd love that. Take those high-density apartments and kick them to the curb. We didn't need the density and the high-rise and the 60% more housing between us. The whole reason is a buffer between single-family residents and commercial. And this is a really neat commercial concept, but this is a high-density apartment with a kick-in of commercial. This is the first we've seen of this. I don't feel like we're getting an upfront bona fide, this is what's going to happen. I think what we're getting is a bona fide, we're going to get apartments, and then somewhere in a decade, if we get commitment and we get it all, but there's no guarantee they've given you, and there's no guarantee
the city council isn't even given a guarantee that this commercial will happen. And that's what you're hearing. You want to hear the commercial. I don't disagree with it, but we're hearing these apartments, they're set. They've got timelines. They will happen. That's all we've heard was this is what will happen, and this is what we'd like to happen. So I'm just real concerned that you can't disassociate and maybe deny a part of it, the part that doesn't make sense, and let's go. Let's build the commercial. Let's get some, entertainment venues that everybody wanted. I don't know what's the best for the tax rate, but even a big box down there makes more sense than high-density apartments. So thank you for listening, and I hope you'll really consider it.
Thank you, ma'am. That is the last speaker we have signed up. Would anybody else like to speak on this item? Sir, if you'd fill out a card afterwards.
Yes, sir. I spoke last week. Will Stripmatter, 611 Scenic Path. I do think the developer did make some adjustments based on the last week's meeting, so, we'd have to at least admit that, right? This looks great. Obviously he omitted pictures of the apartment buildings for a reason. I just don't hook us up to it. And now that Leander Crossing has 3 exits without us, you can unhook us from them too. But if it's funding, I'm sure we can rent a ditch witch and dig that sucker up. But it does look pretty. Obviously, it's missing some stuff intentionally. Hopefully, that's what we get. And yeah, I'd like to spend money here too. So, thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on this item? Okay, this is an action item. Council?
I have a concern about the density of the multifamily as well, and I would like to ask Chief Gardner to come and talk to us about that. My concern is that our maximum allowed by what we have on the books now is 25 units per acre, and we're being asked to consider 60. I want to know what that looks like from a public safety perspective.
One of the things that we will do, no matter how the agreement goes through, whatever council decides, is they still have to have compliance with the existing fire code in the site development. So that includes access, that includes suppression items, and that includes all the safety features that go with that. The other part of that is when you have high density, that the concern becomes, what does the complex happen? What happens to it in time? One of the things is that we have in place that's not always popular, but it's designed to maintain values, is property maintenance code. You don't get to put something on the ground and then walk away from it. That occurs in other communities immediately surrounding us. We have that, and we enforce that to make sure that some of those things stay in play. I think one of the items when we would go through this review and we'd go through that process that we work with, and we work with planning on this frequently, is how is that laid out? How is green space added to those things, and how do we have continuous access around that? One of the things that we all learned as kids is the same thing that applies here. When there's room for appropriate play and there's light to keep darkness away, things work out in our benefit. And we work through that. And we won't have the ability to say yes or no on that until we get the actual site plan in. But when it comes in, it'll come to our office, and we'll work through that to address those things, which may mean that what the maximum that we've allotted may not be able to occur because of some adjustment there. But what we do know is by setting that cap, that's the cap, and then we work through from there. Is that?
Yes, sir.
help?
I'm concerned with not only the density, but the request for reduced parking and what that would do for the ability of a truck to maneuver through there and reach everything.
We can reduce the parking access, but they still have to provide us access to the facility to get to the facility, and they still have to comply with those code components.
Okay, thank you.
So we're going to stick with that no matter what we do with that piece of it.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have a concern about the density too, and I really don't like it. I don't like 60 units. I'm just curious, Tom, do you have, can you tell me, so I can have a visual of what it looks like with 60 units per square acre? How high would it
It's a
have to
little
be? How
staggering.
dense? I mean, is there going to be any room for green
the
space?
applicant has agreed to limit the total height to 5 stories. And in order to achieve 60 units per acre, it would have to have a parking garage. They wouldn't be able to do it with just surface parking. And the PUD doesn't allow it either. The maximum density for surface parking is 38 units per acre, and the maximum density for structured parking is 60 units per acre, and then the combined between the two is 45 units per acre.
So if it would be an apartment complex with 60 units in it per acre, there would be a lot of parking space.
Well, there would be a parking
unless
garage.
they would do the parking garage.
Right. So they can't do 60 units per acre if they don't have a parking garage. The maximum they can do if they don't have a parking garage is 38 units per acre. And that is, to visualize that, that's about the same as the Merit Sky senior apartments. They were 34 units per acre, 5 stories.
Yeah, and they were going to be 5 or 4 stories. I don't quite. They were going to be 5. Yeah.
But that includes the parking garage, correct?
No, they are surface parked, but they have a lower parking ratio because it's a senior.
No, I'm saying if they do 5 stories, that would also take into account any parking garage. They can't exceed that by adding
That's
a parking
correct.
garage.
So typically the way that's done is the parking garage is in the center, and it's wrapped around by the apartment building. So it will be masked by the apartment building, the parking structure.
How many buildings per acre?
It's really up to the applicant and the ultimate end user of the multifamily site how many buildings they break it up into. I couldn't say at this stage. There's no limit to the number of buildings. It's just a limit to the number of multifamily units per acre. So it could be in multiple buildings, or it could be in.
How many total units could go with this plan of 5 stories and 60 units? And how many acres, 60% of this land? What's the max we're looking at?
Well, that's a tough question to answer without seeing a site plan. It's 45 units per acre is the total that they can do of multifamily with a combination of structured parking and surface parking. And then the multifamily is, how many acres is it, Michael?
78 acres total, and 50% would be.
How many total acres of multifamily?
Can be multifamily.
So it's 37 acres?
Aren't we limited in our ordinance to 25 acres of multifamily? Isn't that the ideal that we have?
That's right. So that's
Yeah,
one of the
so-
waivers in this is to have more than 25 contiguous acres of multifamily.
Now, also, I'm concerned about the single-family townhomes. I look at this, and I don't see how much is going to be put in there. I think that would be a nicer fit next to the neighborhoods that are worried about having too much multifamily. So where exactly are they going to be? How much of the percentage of the multifamily land is that going to take up? And how much actually is the multifamily? You said it's 30 acres?
It's a little bit more than that. The total
Yeah.
project's 78, and so the
37?
multifamily can be up to 50% of that.
39?
39, and you have to subtract out the water
Yeah.
feature, so that's 4. But so that's the maximum, would be 39.
And then not only would there be a waiver for how many acres of multifamily we would be putting in there, but also a waiver to increase the number of units, which is more than double what our current ordinance is. Yeah.
Correct.
But then we're limiting
And,
the size, so that would be
Yeah.
200 square foot
And
apartments. Yeah.
to answer the question about the single-family townhouse, the PUD does not require that the single-family townhouse be constructed. It just allows for it to be, and it allows for it to be anywhere within the residential land use component. So anywhere you see the tan color is where they could place the single-family townhouses, but they don't have to do the single-family.
But it could be multifamily, correct?
Yes,
So there could be 60% multifamily.
50%.
Okay, so in the bottom, this graph right here, it says residential SFT or MF, 40% minimum. Why is it including multifamily there?
Because
What number are you on, Marcy?
Number D1.
it's because the multifamily and the single-family townhouse are both residential uses, and so what the PUD is saying is that there has to be at least 40% of the site has to be residential uses.
Okay.
So it can be either multifamily or single-family townhouse.
But only 50% maximum.
Correct.
Okay.
40% minimum, 50% maximum.
So if we do 30 acres times 45 units, that's 1,350 units.
Right, and some of that's self-limiting because of the amount of parking that's acreage
But that's
associated with
45
parking.
units per acre, not the 60 if they have a parking garage.
Right, and they've also limited their building height. So they've limited building height to 3 stories within 150 feet of the southern boundary, and then 5 stories everywhere else. So some of that will be the height limits and the parking requirements are going to ultimately be what limits the total number of units that they get. Now, the other thing is the unit mix. You could say that they could have a unit mix that allows smaller units, which would be more total units per acre, but that's going to be market driven, you know, what the market's going to demand in terms of the mix of 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms. But that would be another way. If you did all 1 bedrooms, for instance, you could end up having a whole lot more units in a building than if you did a mix of 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms.
I had a question of Mr. Pohl, if I could. I don't know. Can you move over and let me see?
Where is Jennifer? I mean, it's been like 2 weeks.
I mean, already.
Old baby. Okay, and the jet has landed. That's his name. And
Jet?
he says hello,
Jet.
and you notice I'm not her, but I'd be delighted to answer any question for her.
So I have a question of you. Addressing the question, why multifamily? Why do you add multifamily and not just all commercial?
Because the commercial, we're not downtown Austin. How much commercial development is there like this from Cedar Park North? 0. Because you don't have enough people. These users aren't coming here and being naked there. They have to have people on a daily basis come over and use those commercial uses. Those restaurants aren't going to draw enough to begin with just from this area. How many big restaurants do you have? 0. Why is that? You don't have a population base to support them. This tract must have that economic engine of people. The thing that's driving this without that lagoon, there's nothing. The lagoon draws the people, and this deal does not take place, but everybody tells you every time, unless that lagoon's built. The marketing we're doing, we have incredible amount of interest here. Users are not stupid. They have been in this business forever. Mr. Neary doesn't own the land. It's not even zoned. This could just be turned down tonight, and any work that they did, totally useless. Once he has it zoned, okay, it's a little bit better. But the user doesn't want to do a whole bunch of work and whatever unless he's sure it's coming here. The marketing that I'm doing for him even says in the letters of interest is 360 days. They have feasibility. They're not going to come here without seeing that the lagoon's built and multifamily is going to happen. They're not coming. They are driven by this local population and future growth. Without that, there is no economic engine for this. They go somewhere else. They are also looking potentially at going in that hole in the ground on 1431 in Cedar Park. And there's another backup site also that Mike is polite enough not to mention. But they love this site because of the future, because of 2243 and 183A. And what we had to do to bring them, and we do have a bowling alley and a movie theater. We do have these users we've talked about and dealing with every day. But they're not going to go in there in a traditional little shopping center with the population base that's here right now. That's the, if you want this, which is just wonderful in my view, the multifamily has to be involved.
Does it have to be involved to that density? You're hearing that's really the trigger point.
Well, that's a discussion that you should have with him. I am not the principal. I just asked one question.
But when you're marketing this, how are you marketing
I'm marketing
The
there's about
multifamily.
1,000 units, sir.
1,000.
1,000 or a little bit more, yeah. Because that's really what'll happen. When you have parking that you got to throw in, it's going to be really aggressive to say, I know they hope this happens, but aggressive to say that you're going to have a wrap unit. A wrap unit costs so much money. How many wrap units are there between here and Mopac? 0. How many are under construction? 0. We're trying to do one in Cedar Park, but having all sorts of difficulty. Probably they're going to be maxed out. It's somewhere around 38 units per acre with surface parking, which gets you to about 1,050 or 1,100 units. Here's something else. They're not all coming today. Nobody's going to go out and put on the ground all these units at once. They're going to do one, make sure it's full, probably takes 3 years, then another one that takes about 3 years, and another one. And who knows, maybe they use on the far east at some point in time, becomes office. We don't know. Okay? Right now, to get these users right now that we do have and talk to daily, one user that's looking at this is the Woody family that has all sorts of really micro bars downtown. Okay? And Clay and my daughter are very good friends, and he's just watching tonight to see how this goes, etc., that he would come in, I think, and do quite a few really nice restaurants right on the water. But there'll be high demand for that. But it has to be zoned, it has to be owned, and there has to be construction on the lagoon. You're not going to have a restaurant guy come in there and build and hope the lagoon's built. Not going to happen. So
what's the tipping point? What's the tipping point of how many multifamily units before any commercial will go in?
You got to have 1,000 easy.
Okay, so the entire multifamily site has to be developed.
Yes. See, I shouldn't be answering that question.
Well, hang on one second, Bill, if you don't mind. I just have a question of you, and that is, you know, there's so much discussion, and the question I've always had is how do we keep apartments rents high? In other words, how do we keep quality there? You know,
if you're going to have users for the retail, I think you need to have tenants that can afford to go out to eat every night.
There's more to this marketing than I mentioned. The people putting these restaurants and things here don't want a median income in those apartments of $45,000 a year. The uses here are high dollar. Mike's interest is to attract 1,000 square feet or above units. I'm speaking for him, and I shouldn't be doing that. But there has to be a level of high income there to have the disposable income to use it at the movies, to use it there, etc. Now, this guy's been doing things like this a long time. To him, these things are fairly elementary, and were thought of 18 months ago that he's got to do to make this work. He has no interest, I am sure, of building efficiency apartments that you have students in or something like that. This is people who will enjoy the lagoon. They're going to
Then we don't need 60 units per acre.
That's your opinion. Okay.
How can you do 1,000 square feet each and get 60 units per acre with the parameters?
If you have 5 stories, you can do that. Yep. See, I'm answering questions I shouldn't answer. Go. Excuse me.
Sure. Happy to answer any questions.
Can you answer that one?
How do you get 6 units per acre with 1,000 square foot units? 5-story wrap product surrounding a structured parking happens all over Texas.
Is that the plan, though? I just heard that that's not the plan because it's expensive.
The reason we're asking for that is we believe the future of Leander could support that. I would say that market apartment rents in Leander are probably 40% light right now to support that product. It's a much more expensive product to build with structured parking. So we believe in the future, maybe in the third phase, you could get one wrap product at the higher density with structured parking.
So then your plan for the first 2 phases is 45 units per acre?
No, they would be, the first one is likely to be about 30. Second one go up to about 38 at a 4-story product, if the market rents move up like we believe they will.
I want to see what that looks like.
So what causes them to move up? Is the plan that, hey, we build the lagoon, we get the commercial around the lagoon, and that makes the interest there to live right by it? Is that the phases?
That's part of our thesis. I think on a broader scale, though, you're looking at a lot of demand drivers in Leander, particularly in the 183A corridor. ACC could potentially support 12,000 students in the near future. You've got a 52-acre medical project under construction. These things are going to create demand for housing from students, medical professionals, nurses, professors, all that type of thing.
How much of that multifamily has to be built prior to beginning construction on the lagoon?
The client, we expect to sell phase 1-2 requires delivery of the water feature concurrently with their project.
Concurrently, so as the first ground is being broke on the multifamily.
Yeah, they would be under construction. We're obligated to deliver it prior to their opening.
That's not in the PUD.
It's in the PUD.
It absolutely is in the PUD.
Yes, it is in the
Developed under
PUD.
phase 1.
But phase 1 could be, the apartments, the multifamily could be phase 1, and that phase 1 could last 10 years. And then the water
I think
feature
clearly
come along.
the intent is that it's built with the first construction on the site.
I'd like to somehow, if we could put in the construction of the lagoon be, there be no
Concurrent?
building permits issued until, while that's concurrently being built.
It says the water feature shall be constructed during the first phase of development.
First phase, I guess that's.
Right, and that's kind of my
Phase
question,
could
that
be
phase 1 could be 10 years long, and the apartments could be up for 8 years, and then finally that lagoon is
And I'm-
considered phase 1.
I'm just as concerned about when the commercial starts as I am with the lagoon.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Otherwise, it's
Otherwise,
apartments
we're
and
just
a
approving
pond.
apartments.
Yeah, but why does the commercial start before the lagoon? I mean, like what's the
lagoon
hook
has
for
to
them?
The lagoon and we're being sold a site plan with the lagoon and the restaurants around it.
Well, maybe we
And we all
stipulate
want
that the lagoon has to be complete prior to 50% of the multifamily construction.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm
mean,
glad we're
100%,
dissecting this because I understood that I read into it, this water feature shall be constructed during the first phase of development. To me, that means that before the first apartment is sold, you've got a lagoon, but that isn't what this is saying.
Well, can we stipulate that the lagoon is completed before any residents move in?
Prior to the CO? Sure.
What is your definition of phase 1? Is that a timeline? Is that a quantity?
Yeah, we don't have any specifics on phase 1 and
But
what
if-
exactly that is.
But if we know phase 1 is apartments and there's no certificate of occupancy until the lagoon is completed, then I think problem solved.
I think it should be tied to not necessarily completion. It's a garden product. You're going to CO building by building. So it'll be under construction. It may not be done, but as their investment's completed, they need the ability to lease the product.
Well, the lagoon has to be, it's not going to be done in phases, correct?
Absolutely not.
So you said you're okay with having the lagoon complete before the first multifamily C of O is issued?
That's not what he just said.
I would like
thought
it to,
that's what
I'd
you
like
said.
it to be more substantially complete, or the minimum investment made.
How long do you
What
think it'll take to
substantially
complete the lagoon? We're talking months, years?
No, 10 to 12 months.
Mr. Annis, do you have a comment?
Well, I was just going to say that, as Mr. Neary mentioned, typically multifamily developers build and receive certificates of occupancy by building.
Sure.
And so I think, for instance, they're going to want to get their leasing center, CO, and everything prior to all of the other buildings. Right. So maybe you would say that, that the lagoon has to be completed before 50% of the buildings in the first phase of multifamily receive a CO, just so that you do give them the ability to have, lease up time and that sort of thing. Because
Well,
I do think
that could be
market-wise, that's what we see is building by building, they're getting their CO.
Well, I don't understand what exactly is the phase 1. When we get subdivisions come in, we have sectors. This is phase 1, and this will all get built up, and this is phase 2.
Then we
and
move on.
we don't see that here.
Right, and
Because
you'll
we're
see
just
that on
doing
the,
zoning.
we will see that, the staff will see that on the site plan when they submit their site development permit. They'll have limits of phase one on that plan. And so the lagoon has to be a part of that phase one boundary.
But Mr. Yantis, couldn't we do like a temporary CO for a leasing office?
You either have it or you don't.
No, right. You could. Typically, we condition the certificate of occupancy on. You could.
What are we doing now? I mean, what do we do on multifamily like this? Do we give, when it's developing in phases, is it uncommon to give a CO for?
No, sir, it's not uncommon. We typically do that. But I don't know how they plan to receive their site development permit for the lagoon and the multifamily. I assume, will be two separate entities submitting a permit application for two separate projects. If the lagoon was a part of the multifamily site development permit, then we would it would have to be completed as a part of that overall permit, but it'll be being built concurrently is how I understand it.
So, Michael, tell us how you see these phases developing.
We envision starting the first phase of multifamily, the water future, and as soon as possible trying to get interest from commercial users to build out along 183A and the waterfront.
And do you, on the first multifamily unit, you said it's 10 to 12 months on the water feature. How long for the first, building to go up?
Once they're ready to go, I think they'd be ready to CO the first buildings within 12 months.
So really same time frame?
Right, and our agreement with them would require, they're looking to us and applying financial penalties if we don't deliver the water feature concurrently with their delivery schedule.
And I think we need to put those same parameters in place for performance.
Well, you said 50% earlier, right? 50% of the multifamily?
Of phase one.
Phase one.
And
But
so,
we don't know what that looks like.
right, how many are in phase one?
Approximately 300 units.
Okay.
Yeah, and were we supposed to get
But we don't
architectural
know how many
renderings
buildings that
this
is.
evening of
Very
some?
vague.
We had requested architectural renderings for the
Yeah.
multifamily that, in order for them to receive a reduction in the garage parking requirement,
Yeah.
but what they've said is that they agree to that, but they don't have the renderings at this stage, so they would have to come before the council to get those approved in the future before they can get a reduction in the garage parking requirement.
And I'm curious, the density has bothered several of us here up on the dais, and I'm wondering if we can do the same thing with the density, make it a lower density to begin with, and if there is a definite user that wants to come in and put
Bring it
that
back.
in, bring it back, and then we can look at it and make sure the renderings and the architecture and the plans will be compatible with
I
what
don't-
we want for our city here.
I don't want to hold up your project,
Yeah.
but I have
Yeah.
tremendous anxiety about the density that you're asking for. And if you're saying that you would do the higher density at later phases, that seems like a reasonable compromise to start lower.
Sure. So to answer your question regarding the rendering, so those will be brought forth by the developer of the multifamily site. That will not be us.
Okay.
So we're not going out and designing a multifamily project or making a proposal what it will look like. We have agreed, and we also haven't requested a reduction in parking. We've requested a reduction, the ability for those developers to request a reduction in the number of units that are provided with a enclosed garage parking space. And in order to do that, they will have to bring renderings forth to the council and ask for approval prior to that being granted.
So could we, obviously, they'll have to come to council, with their site plan for the multifamily. Will they have to, they won't have to bring that?
But he has to bring drawings for the renderings of the apartments, correct?
They only have to do that if they want to request a reduction in the number of enclosed garage parking spaces.
Okay.
So right now, our code requires a certain percentage of the units have an enclosed garage parking space, and one of the types of multifamily projects that they've proposed has the need to have fewer of those. And so, but in order to get that approved, they would have to bring the renderings forward to the council for approval.
But they are asking for 60 units per acre.
If the project is has structured parking, if it's one of the wrap products that Mr. Neary described.
Okay, so, and you may not know this, but I'm curious as to how many current multifamily units are in inventory right now in Leander.
That's a great question.
Sometimes.
I don't know that
I
number
think
off
we're
the top of
putting
my
him on the
head.
spot. That's a hard
Well,
question.
yeah.
I could look it up in about 5 minutes, but
And
I
then
don't
I'm also
know.
curious then how many are in the queue. So I would like to know how many are currently open and ready to be rented, and how many are in the queue to be built. Because people have speculated all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
We have 10,000 that are already in the pipeline ready to be built. I don't.
Not 10,000.
Okay.
We
1,000?
Yes, in that range. We have about
in the
that,
range
right.
between 1 and 10.
No. I mean in the range of 1,000.
Oh, okay.
We probably have about 1,500 completed, but I will give you the actual numbers, and then we have some that are in construction right now. We have others that have site development permits approved but haven't begun construction, and then we have others that have zoning but no site development permits. So all of that I can provide information to you. I just don't have it memorized.
Sure.
My brain doesn't work that well.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this with a limitation of 40 units per acre. And if that needs to be increased later, then I think the applicant could come back and ask for a revision.
I still think we need to
And
put something
about
some
the park
performance in there as far as the lagoon in a
Yeah,
certain
I'd like to
phase.
see the
a little more
lagoon.
specific.
So the lagoon,
But
50% of the phase 1 or 300 units, whichever number's less, prior to, does that sound?
how many does the typical
Well,
building have?
if we're
I'm looking for
limiting
direction.
40 units per acre,
How many
that's
units
like,
are in the standard?
that's quite a few
Does anyone
acres.
know?
That's 9 acres.
How many units are in the standard?
I have no idea.
Okay, so the entire,
The entire complex, though, I think we need to back it down
Yeah.
to about 100
yeah.
units.
Michael, what does that
Be
do
about
to
2 to 3
the
acres.
timeline, putting that requirement on?
It would allow you to start the apartments at the very same time as the lagoon if they've got a 12-month build-out.
I'm sorry, I may have missed something while I step back there. What's the question? Is it related to your motion?
Yes.
And your motion is to limit the average density to 40 units per acre instead of 45?
In phase
Not the
one?
average.
The total.
In
The
phase
total.
1? Or total?
Instead of 60?
It's total.
Total.
So it's likely that we're going to get caught with, there's phase 1 is along the southern edge. You're going to turn north, and then you're going to get caught with a piece that's not 10 or 11 acres. And so we've got to be able to deliver a product, assuming that the market rates are there, that will fit on a smaller site.
Okay, so how just about no COs after over 100 until the lagoon is 100% complete?
That works for me. Is that what, is that?
100 units?
Because if you break ground at the same time, that shouldn't be any problem to hit that.
I'm willing to go lower.
So my question would be, I thought we talked about 50% of the phase, so that'd be 150. You'd rather it be a third?
You said 300 is,
Phase
Actually, I
one.
think that came from down here.
Well, we were just looking at how big the standard
the
is.
standard is an entire complex, and it's
With
only got
multiple
300
buildings.
units.
Is there a question? I'm sorry.
We're concerned that this is going to end up being a very dense multifamily
Understood.
without the lagoon and without the GC.
Understood.
So
Yeah, but
we're
commercial-
open for you
Sure.
to give us suggestions, but otherwise we're
I'm just
dancing
trying to
around over
clarify.
here.
I thought I heard earlier 50% of phase one.
That's when we thought the standard was maybe 600 units. And so in our mind, we're thinking, well, half
phase
of the
one is going to
standard.
be approximately 300 units in our project.
Okay.
So you're talking
So
150.
50%,
I was saying
150.
150.
So 150.
That's fine.
So you're saying that you want an average of 40 units per acre,
I think that-
not 40, period.
Right, an average of 40, I believe, would suffice for the amount of land we have dedicated to multifamily. We do need an increased density on that third site because it's not going to be a 10-acre site.
So an average of 40 would allow you to do a mix that would make that feasible?
I believe that's correct. I tried to run back there and grab my calculator. But
Okay. Well, my question, I guess the reason I'm asking you that is why are we asking for 60?
60, so that we could potentially respond to market conditions if the market were to support a higher rent product that would be a wrap product.
Can I answer this?
And I can see that
Because
with the
I think that
parking
it's
garage.
important to understand that there will be multiple multifamily developers, so there will be multiple
Okay.
multifamily sites.
Okay.
And what they're trying to do is have the flexibility to have the number of units per acre spread across all of the multifamily zoned property. So you might have one project that's 50 units per acre, and you might have another project that's 30 units per acre, but they average out to 40 units per acre over the entirety of the multifamily zone portion of the property. So that we're not counting the 40 at each individual site plan that comes in. And I think that seems like how we have handled others in the past.
Okay.
And that's why I thought 150 units was high.
All right.
That's 50%.
And so far, we've been talking about tying it to the lagoon, but I'm much more concerned about tying it to
The commercial.
The commercial. I don't really care about the lagoon. That's still 4 acres. It's pretty small.
But the lagoon's got to be there before the commercial.
But before
Well,
they
then-
can sell the commercial.
Then that's a given.
So that's why we really need to make sure that lagoon goes, or we're not going to get the commercial.
So we make
So-
sure the lagoon's going to go there, but then
Within the
we
first
could end
100,
up
150
with,
home apartments.
1,200 apartments before the first restaurant comes, unless we
Put
Yeah,
something
well-
in tonight.
Well, if there's 30 acres and it's an average of 40 per acre, that's 1,200 units right there.
45 per acre.
Well, now it's 45.
Well, that's what he.
No, that's what they're at.
Oh, so that's that'll be 1,350 units.
Yeah, that's what I have is 1,350,
Yeah.
30
Yeah.
acres.
30 acres.
Yeah.
What you got?
Dazzle us.
There's something brilliant about to happen, I can tell.
Average of 40 units per acre and 150 units on phase one
Prior to
completion.
Yeah.
So
Wait, prior to what completion? The
lagoon.
lagoon?
Lagoon has to be complete
completion.
before there's any COs over 150 units.
Does that still make everything viable?
I think that works. I'm hearing a concern that it may affect financing of a multifamily project, but I suppose we could come back if they're having issues with that and have that discussion.
That sounds good.
It
I'll
would-
make that motion.
I'll second that.
But
There's already a motion.
If you'll please
You're revising
clarify the motion for me,
Yep.
please. So I
But
make
there's still
sure
more
we've got it.
discussion.
Do you want to redo your motion? Or
Yes.
Do you want to,
Well, if we're having more discussion, let's
Okay,
cover
that's
that so
fine.
we don't have to start over again.
Thank you. So how can we tie this with some deliverables with the commercial?
We talked about this 2 weeks ago. I think that's difficult just given that we're going to be responding to market conditions and obviously our intention and interest is to move through the entire land as quickly as possible.
Of course.
The commercial makes up over half of it, and
So your, the entertainment aspect, you have a LOI from them?
do.
What do they need to see before they'll break ground?
there's some financial components to it that will have to be met on our end.
What does that mean?
That doesn't help me, sorry.
With regard to the commercial around the lagoon, that in today's Amazon world, that big box tenants are not building stores. We had a conversation with Walmart last week, and they have shut down their entire development program for the entire is they're going to spend the next 2 years fighting Amazon online. But what we're planning to do is to bring entertainment and restaurants to Leander, which, at least today, isn't that affected by Amazon. That, you know, people still want to go out, they want to hit the entertainment. But in today's financing world, you have to have tenants to get your financing to build buildings. The days of, you know, going out and just build spec buildings and hoping that the tenants will come are long gone. That, you know, you have to get leases signed. We've seen around the world with these types of developments that there's lots of demand for these entertainment uses given the amenities we have. We came to Leander because for whatever reason, Leander is starved for restaurants, they're starved for entertainment. You know, there's a lot of history to it, but I think...
what's the threshold what is the threshold that the restaurants have given you, the ones that have given you LOIs? How many what do they need to see before they'll open?
What they're seeing is the entire mixed-use development. You know, they want to see, you know, entertainment uses, they want to see rooftops effectively where there are people who can, you know, can come to their restaurants. They don't just look to this development, though. They look at the macro Leander market, but they want both. You know, they want a good wide trade area that's starved for their product, but then they also want people that can come over very easily and, you know, and kind of be regular customers of these things. Part of the beauty of this as a developer is when you have multiple uses like this, you can start lots of things at once. It's not sequential. I mean, we have a high-quality multifamily developer that wants to build here. The product they're looking at is far above anything that's been built in Leander. It's interior corridor product. It's high quality. The rents that they're projecting are far in excess of anything that's in Leander today. It's going to be the best project there. The staff knows the developer, Tom, that, you know, they've been talking to them about other sites in Leander, so he knows the developer, he knows the quality that they're looking at doing. And what's bringing them is the fact they know that, you know, when the water feature gets built, that we're going to be able to get the restaurants. I mean, that's the whole key to doing the water feature is to bring the restaurants to the project. That, you know, today, you know, there's lots of choices down in Cedar Park, and everybody in Leander's driving down to Cedar Park. We think when this gets done, that it'll be a regional draw, and that people from Cedar Park are going to be driving up here, and we'll get people from Round Rock and Georgetown and Pflugerville and, you know, the surrounding communities. But, you know, you get, you know, the first phase of the multifamily going, you know, we've got lots of interest in the restaurants. We've got a hotel that's looking at the site. We've got a letter of intent with the entertainment complex. But at the end of the day, you have to get all these things financed. And, you know, financing is a big issue in today's market. And I don't think you can take on any development that Leander's looking at today that financing is a gut cinch. You know, you have to have tenants to get financing. You know, nobody's going to go out and build major spec buildings because they can't get the money. You have to have tenants. And we think with our amenity package and the mixed-use nature of it, we know we can get the tenants. You know, we've got them ready to go. We've got hotels that have been down here multiple times overlooking the water. They want to be here. And, you know, we think that lots of the restaurants out on 183A, the restaurants overlooking the water, the entertainment units will be there with the first phase of the apartments. First phase of the apartments has to get built, has to get leased, it has to get stabilized. Highly likely that the second phase won't start for 30 to 36 months. You're not going to go build all these projects at once. You have to get it up, you have to get it leased. Nobody's going to start a project next door to a project that's not fully leased. It's just not going to happen. So the third and final building that we're looking at, that we're talking about the 5-story wrap product, one, it'll be the most expensive product out there. It'll command the highest rents, and they'll get the highest quality tenants because it's a lot more expensive.
And where do you see that going?
On the north end of the multifamily area, the farthest away from the southern boundary of the property.
Mike,
You
what
mean that
about,
tract right up in there by the Mason Creek, that little small piece? No.
I'm sorry.
Don't put that back up there. Make that go away.
Okay.
There it is.
No, it would be the tract just to the.
Right there.
No, to the south of the hotel, adjacent to the hotel.
Okay.
In that, but we're going to wind up with 5 acres. You can't build a garden apartment project on 5 acres. Just doesn't work. And anybody who tells you that there's going to be, on 5 acres, you're going to have 120, 150 units, you can't support the amenity package, the swimming pool, the gym, the clubhouse. It's just not a feasible project.
Where's the garden product?
On the southern end of the property is where we've got the 3-story height restriction. That's what we're going to build first. We have the developer that wants to do it. The staff knows the developer. They know their product. It's very high quality. It's better than anything built in Leander. And their projected rents are 15% higher than any current rents in the city. So they're going to attract a higher quality tenant, and it'll be a much higher quality product. It's interior corridor product with air-conditioned corridors. I mean, it's very expensive, very high-end product. It's going in. And the reason they know it is because we're going to have the restaurants, we're going to have the entertainment. It all comes together, and we, have looked long and hard at Leander. We've been a major developer in Cedar Park for a number of years. We've watched Leander. We think it's time. We're excited to be here.
Have you done any mixed use in Cedar Park?
No, we haven't done mixed use in Cedar Park, but we've done mixed use. Contrary to what was said earlier, we have never built a Section 8 apartment project. I don't know where anyone got that idea, but we've never done that. All we've ever done is high-quality Class A product.
What do you have in Cedar Park?
Rancho, Brushy Creek.
Okay.
No project.
Mike, can you tell us, like the hotel, would that typically be the last thing to come, or do you?
We're hoping to bring the hotel as fast as we can. We've got a hotel that loves the beachfront. They want to be here, and they're doing their feasibility right now.
So that would be like phase 2, because they're going to want the lagoon, I assume, to be there.
Well, they want to be there when they open.
The hook, that's what I mean.
Yeah, when they open, sure.
Okay.
So does occupancy trigger phase 2?
Pardon?
Does occupancy trigger phase 2?
Occupancy of what?
Of the
triggers
apartments.
phase
Okay, the apartment?
Yeah, what triggers phase 2 is really what we're asking.
Nobody is going to do a second phase apartment until the first phase is up and leased and successful. If that project is not successful, there won't be a phase 2 apartment. Nobody's going to come in and build an apartment building next to an apartment building. It's not successful and it's not leased. If the market doesn't support it, it won't be built. I mean, the lenders have discipline, even if the developers don't.
Well, we understood there's going to be several different developers, so.
No, there's going to be several different types of product.
Okay.
The group that we're working with would like to develop all of the multifamily.
Okay.
And whether we'll reach that agreement with them, I don't know, but.
Are they able, do they build the different kinds of product that we're talking of?
Yeah, it's a major national development company,
Okay.
West Coast based. Well, they're based in Scottsdale, but historically they built from Seattle to San Diego. They have a Texas operation that they've started. They intend to do 10 projects in Texas in the next 12 months. Their Texas partner lives in Austin. He's built the project in his last job that's right in front of the ranch at Brushy Creek, very high-quality apartment project right at the front door to Brushy Creek. And he's well known to the staff at the city of Leander. He's been out here and met with the staff. They know each other. And, they'd like to build the whole thing. The company has a $2.7 billion fund with cash in hand. They don't have any constraints as to capital, and that's where the market's going with these multifamily developers or the big national companies.
Mike, tell us about the retail. So, we obviously have a daytime lunch problem. Most of our population leaves. How is that going to affect the restaurants, but particularly around there?
We believe that the key to the success of the restaurants, and let me back up a little bit. Obviously there's plenty of restaurant supply today down in Cedar Park. And, as everybody knows, those restaurants do very well down there. They're very successful generally. We believe that these restaurants here in Leander will have a competitive edge because of the water feature. We were over at the Grove at dinner the other night, and you sit down outside, you're facing the parking lot, which isn't all that attractive. Guy pulls up in his car, and he gets out of his car, and his lights are shining in your eyes for 3 minutes while they're waiting to go off. Our concept is the outside dining is overlooking the water, which will be a much more pleasant, high-quality experience. And if you look out at Lake Travis or restaurants on Lake Austin, they're very successful. People want to go out there. They're attracted to the water, and we think the projects, the water feature will draw that. Leander does need to get car dealerships. They need to get office buildings. But you've got the toll road here. It's going to happen, and it's not going to happen all at once, but it's coming. And if we weren't absolutely convinced that Leander is going to grow and prosper and develop a commercial base, we wouldn't be interested in Leander. We're 100% sold on the future of Leander. That's why we want to be here. Total build out of the project's over $300 million. It's a big commitment.
I noticed that you took one of the entrances off on 183A into the retail. Is that going to affect the desirability of the retail?
Well, so your current ordinance didn't allow for that. We didn't ask for that to be added, but and all of these entrances here, they have to be approved by.
Wait,
CT.
I'm sorry. Can you point again? Because I was looking.
Right
at
now,
that
we have
one.
an entrance on right here.
So
right
this
here.
frontage.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Say
one
it
in
again.
the middle.
Do the one in the middle.
And I'm sorry, our current ordinance doesn't allow for what?
The entrance directly into the parking lot of the commercial.
From 183A.
Correct.
Okay, but the frontage on 183A, by my guesstimate, is close to 2,400 linear feet. And I believe our access management says either 600 or 700. So why is this an issue?
You want me to respond? They could get additional. It's all going to depend upon what CTRMA will approve in terms of permits onto the frontage road. What our access management policy says is that it's a street intersection and not an individual driveway for an individual tenant. And so they could, if CTRMA would allow, at the northern end, bring their internal street back out. But they've got this entrance is the main entrance off of the frontage road. This will come in and everybody will be able to access just kind of like you do at the Gateway Shopping Center. You drive into the main entrance and then you go into all of the retail component. Then they'll have another street down here that will intersect with the frontage road. So you could, if you miss this one, you can come in this one, or if you're trying to get out, you can go down here and get out that way. But again, all of these are going to be contingent upon CTRMA approving these permits.
So I'm sorry, I still missed it. What part is not allowed?
None of what's shown on this is not allowed.
Okay.
But what they had done in a prior version of this is they had shown an individual user driveway right in this location. And that is not allowed by our access management policy.
Talking about access, how on the top right track, where's the access to that going over Mason Creek?
Oh.
To be determined, I assume.
Build a bridge. Okay.
We've discussed the issues with Mason Creek and our desire to relocate it or to produce something. So we'll work that out as we work through that process.
Okay.
So do I understand there's only one ingress egress on 2243?
Yes.
And all of the multifamily would be accessing that one street there to the south?
Around this way, yes.
I'm sorry, can you ask that again?
All of the multifamily would utilize or access their properties on that road to the south?
So we have over 1,300 multifamily units coming in and out of one driveway on 183A?
No. So if you want to gain access to the multifamily, you could come in this entrance, you could come in this entrance, or you could come in this entrance, and all of them will connect you to the multifamily development.
Okay, so both of the two northern entrances go through the retail parking?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
This will
only
be
one.
This will be a street right here that will come through the project. This will be a street.
Okay, so that's not just parking in the middle of there.
Correct. That is a street that will have parking off of it, but it will connect to 2243.
Okay.
It will connect all the way through north to south to this south street. This street will run down here and connect to this. This property, as it develops, will connect to this street. And so ultimately there will be multiple ways in and out of the development.
Okay. Well, Southwestern, it'll be forever before.
Yeah.
It's being marketed right now. I just met with the broker.
Michael, I know it's got the nice, pretty trees along 183A, but we're not going to be blocking visibility for the retail, are we?
I hope not.
Okay. We don't want it to cover up empty buildings.
No.
So I think the remaining question is how do we connect this to some insurability of retail development? So we've got,
We can do what we did on the other project.
which is?
I think we're not going to get retail and
Remind
commercial
us.
unless we get the lagoon. And they're not going to get the lagoon until we get a certain amount of occupancy on the multifamily.
Okay.
I think on 183A, retail and commercial is just inevitable, lagoon or no lagoon. Maybe it's an unpopular opinion, but I'm not as worried about that as I am the multifamily.
It's absolutely in the right place. I mean, that's, without it being on 183A, I wouldn't favor the project at all.
Okay, well, if that's true, if what you're saying is true, then why do we need 1,350 apartments to support it?
Because you can't get anything there.
It's not about those retail, it's about the restaurants and the other amenities.
The entertainment aspect.
I guess they could build next to the one right there. Where? There's not one.
Did you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Ryan Betts, and I represent one of the property owners of the tract, and I've been working on this since '07. Been talking to some of you since around then, and happy to talk to some of you for the first time. What I see happening here after working on this property for 10 years for these owners is the scale and the quality of this development is far superior than conventional development that will happen inevitably. You're correct. I mean, the road will develop, commercial will follow along this road because there is traffic, and there are people drawn to the good schools of Leander, and the community is going to continue to grow. But what this project does is it capitalizes on a unique feature that will drive the quality higher.
That's why we're so intent on having it completed up front.
Yes.
Well, and I think they're in agreement with you on the timing of the lagoon, and we're happy to, I'm pleased with what's going on because I represent one of the owners of this tract, and they also own other property in the area, and we are excited about not only what's going to happen on this 78 acres at the southwest corner, but the sort of rising tide lifting all boats. And this thing will be an anchor, a regional anchor. It'll have the ability to draw folks like both the Nearys have talked about, draw folks from a wider pool. And this won't be just another development along a toll road, which will happen. Development will come along this road. But what they're proposing is, and some of this is where the density comes in, and it may sound a little scary, but it's different. And that the difference is not necessarily worse. And the quality can support more retail, different retail, better restaurants, and better overall commercial development. And so for 10 years of working on this thing, you know, I've sold in a hot market at 07, a terrible market 08, 09, kind of lasted through the bottom, and, you know, we got interest, one-off deals. Little deal here, small deal here, and what we're excited about here is that this is an overall comprehensive deal that can be a difference maker for not just the seller, not just this corner, but Leander as a whole.
And I think you're right, especially on that corridor. A lot of what we've seen are multifamily that's interested in there, and then like a gas station. So maybe this is the spark that we need to make that transition to get something other than apartments on all corners.
Absolutely a catalyst for the kind of development that y'all want, better development, and as the Naries have said, that's something that'll drive not the commercial development faster, and I think drive better commercial development also.
Okay, so going back to the motion, is you want to adjust yours according to?
Yes. Okay, so this can be a little convoluted. No multi-family permits to be issued until the first 150 and the lagoon are completed.
No more.
No COs.
Right.
So
Yes.
no more, we cannot CO more than 150 units until the water feature is completed.
100% complete.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yes. Average density limited to 40 units per acre.
Agreed.
And then this is going to take a little discussion, but I'd like to have some limitation on how many multifamily units can be constructed before there is some activity on the commercial side.
You know, as Mike mentioned, if they started construction on phase one next year, you're really looking at 2021 before you could even think that phase two might start. And, you know, I would fully expect that there'd be significant progress on the commercial side prior to that.
Is there any idea from the movie theater that you say you have a letter of intent from their time frame as to, you know, and I assume they would be in one of the big buildings that's right there, right?
Yeah. Well, this was the original kind of concept plan on the retail, and originally we envisioned one movie theater and one kind of high-end bowling kind of thing. What we've done is we've signed a letter of intent with one tenant that's going to do both. So there will probably be just one larger building out there, and it'll be more restaurants, more smaller entertainment. They're highly likely there won't be two buildings. Unfortunately, these big tenants like that, drive a hard economic bargain, and it works, but it's hard. And, in order to make it work, you have to have, you make zero money on that building with the theater bowling alley. I mean, you can't make anything. It's possible you might lose a little bit of money on that. But what it does is it drives the restaurants, drives that. So if we didn't think that we could do these restaurants, you wouldn't invest multi-millions of dollars in the lagoon if you weren't highly confident that these restaurants were going to come. We're very confident that we can get the restaurants. And, as Michael said, you're not going to start a second phase of the multifamily for probably 30 to 36 months. We see the entire build-out of the multifamily being over a 5 to 8 year period. I mean, it's not anything that's going to happen all at once. So, but the key to the mixed-use development concept is everything's got to hit. You have to have everything. You gotta have the restaurants and the water feature, you know, for the apartments, you gotta get the anchor tenant to help drive people in to the restaurants. The anchor tenant has come down and they've met with the staff in person. The owner and chairman of the company came down. They expect to draw 500,000 visitors to their theater. And they draw 70% of their visitors typically from outside of the market because of the uniqueness of the concept. So, we'll do what it takes to make that deal with them. But, you gotta be able to kind of make money globally, because that deal, best case is a break even, and likely you may lose a little bit of money on it as a loss leader, but it helps drive the whole development.
And originally, you had the townhomes along the water, and then you were envisioning that possibly there might be some retail mixed in with the townhomes, correct?
Our idea on the townhomes is, we started out with the multifamily, and we've been approached by some townhome developers who have seen the feature. And what we asked the staff is, can we put this in as part of the development, which effectively would take out some multifamily? I mean, you're in that equation, you're not going to do both. So the extent you build the townhomes, you're going to build less multifamily. And, we think there's a good market out here. Not everybody wants a single-family home. I mean, a lot of people, where I live are empty nesters. They've downsized. They don't want the yard maintenance and that kind of thing. And, we think that over time there's going to be a good demand from the empty nesters, plus, like out at the medical facilities they're coming in and the college with the professors. We think that there's going to be people that, don't want to be mowing the lawn on Saturday. They want to be out, having some fun. But, it's, to me, the mixed use is exciting. We've never done anything but Class A projects. We've built internationally. We've built all over the country. We've never built a Section 8 housing project. We've never built anything but 100% Class A multifamily project. And, Brushy Creek is 15 years old, but I think it still is an exemplary product, and it was cutting edge at the time it was built. Is it have as good an entry statement as what some people are doing today? Probably not. But when we were 7 years into that project, we went in and tore out the entry statement and spent another $1,200,000 to make it better after we were 50% sold out of our lots, because it did need to be better. I think if you talk to your colleagues in Cedar Park, you'll see we've been a very good citizen down there. We probably have one of the top developments in the city, and, we do quality. That's all we do.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right.
Okay, so
the motion is, we want to, the lagoon and 150 units must be completed before you can continue with any other COs.
On the multifamily.
Yes.
Right.
And 40 units per acre average.
Second.
We're not done.
Second.
Do you want to add?
Yes, I think so. Did we say regarding the 60 units per acre only if it's a wrap?
Correct. That's in the PUD.
That's already in there?
Correct. It's got to be structured parking to be greater than 38.
Then my only other serious heartburn here is the access on 183A. I don't see I see a bunch of green space. I don't see where the driveway is between the two large buildings.
It's right here.
Is it there?
Right.
Tree
Because there's a tree in the way, and it's that way on. I want to make sure
So the
that there's
tree's a
an
median?
access right there.
Yeah, there's a median right
Yeah,
there.
the yellow
yeah.
trees are a median,
Yeah.
and the green on each side of it. So that little yellow tree is actually the median, so there'd be ingress and egress.
Divided.
correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
you just have to blow it up real big to.
Okay.
We have a motion and we have a second.
And there's one on the far south side.
Right here.
And you're okay with that?
It's subject to change, though. That one has to, you have to deal with CTRMA and to see where that goes.
That's probably
and to
minimal.
get approval.
There's
So,
an existing driveway right there.
and there's an existing driveway, yeah.
And there are actually two other driveways. So there's the one in the center that we're talking about with the divided median, and then just south of the bridge abutment where that you can sort of see the ground scarified right there. There's a driveway in that right there also. So there are currently 3 driveways along this half.
183A?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. So let's vote. All in favor? All right, motion passes unanimously. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Do you remember all that?
We'll send notes.
Thank you all very much. We're excited about it.
Thank you, so.
All right, 21. Oops. We move to item 21, discuss and consider award of construction contract for the Zebra Muscle Control Project with Excel Construction Services LLC in the amount of $1,468,658 and a very important 2 cents. Mr. Watts.
All right, as you know, we have this problem with zebra mussels in Lake Travis, and that has a huge hazard for our raw water facilities. We already have mussels growing in and around our raw water pumps. These things will clog the lines up entirely, and we'll have to dig everything up if we don't do something about it, so that's what this project is about. Because this was a unanticipated expense in the BCRUA budget, and of course in our budget for this current year, we're having to cash fund this, and this protects both our Sandy Creek raw water intake and our BCRUA raw water intake. The BCRUA board approved this contract, or the award of this contract, last Wednesday, the 25th. And because it's over $500,000 related to the BCRUA, each city council has to approve this. So Cedar Park and Round Rock will approve it next Thursday night. We're a week ahead of them. And staff request approval of BCRUA's award of the construction contract for the Zebra Mussel Control Project to Excel Construction Services LLC in the amount of $1,468,658.02. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. You realize, you may remember, this is the cost participation is controlled by the Zebra Mussel interlocal agreement that we executed a few months ago.
So what percentage of this amount of the total, is this the total amount? Or is this our
cost participation for this particular action, for this construction project only, is $565,878. Now, our total project costs, pre-design, final design, construction observation, engineering services during construction, is $702,231. But this particular action, you're authorizing the award, you're approving the award of the construction contract, and it only involves $565,000 only, I say, $565,878.
Motion to approve?
A second.
We have a motion to approve by Councilmember Sederquist with a second by Pro Tem Stevenson. Is there any more discussion?
How quickly are you going to get started? Or is the BCRUA going to get started on this?
I would expect construction to start in September.
In September, okay, good.
And I might just, as you may, I know it won't affect your decision, but Excel is a Leander construction company.
Awesome.
Yeah, it absolutely affects our
All in
decision.
favor? All right, motion
Thank you.
passes unanimously. Thank you.
Next time, don't bury the lead.
Yeah.
All right, receive effective and rollback tax rate calculations for fiscal year 2018-19. Mr. Powers.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council. As most of you know, the state statutes set the process for how and when taxing entities can set your tax rate. So tonight starts the process. Tonight is not the end of the process, it just starts the process. So there are 3 items on tonight's agenda, depending on the actions that you take. The first step in the process is calculation of the effective tax rate. Williamson County Tax Office prepares that for us. They take data from the Travis and Williamson Central Appraisal District, and using the state forms, they calculate the effective tax rate. I'm sure you already know this, but just to reiterate, the effective tax rate is the tax rate that, if you applied it to the same property that was on the rolls last year, would bring in the same amount of money that you brought in last year. So that's a state term. It's called the effective tax rate. I like to think of it as a pyramid. The bigger your base, the tax rate goes down to generate the same amount of money. So conversely, you could have a shrinking base and the pyramid would go up. The slide on the overhead is not all the numbers in your packet, but there are some of the more interesting ones. The first line is the comparison of the current tax rate, 57.7867 cents per $100, and the manager's proposed rate that's before you tonight of 55.1867 cents. That's a reduction of 2.6 cents. Last year's effective tax rate was the rate that we adopted last year. So last year's adopted rate was equal to the effective tax rate of 57.7867 cents. This year's calculated effective tax rate is slightly less than that, 56.6793 cents. So a little over a 1 cent decrease from the current rate. The taxable value in Leander has increased by $795 million from last year, 4.1 million to 4.9 million. It's not on this slide, but I wanted to point out that those numbers which are used in the calculation do not include the value of properties that are subject to the over 65 freeze. Those numbers, since their taxes are frozen, don't go into the calculations on the effective tax rate. But it's still value on the ground. You still collect taxes. So if I had put that information up on the slide, last year's total value would have been $4.5 billion, and this year we're at just under $5.5 billion in taxable value.
And that counts the 65 and older?
Yes.
5.5?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You said we've got an increase of $791 million in value? Is that?
This work? Wrong button.
Out of control.
Oh, man.
How did I do it?
Yeah.
Wrong way.
Where's the pointer?
He's good with the numbers, not buttons.
All right.
There's no taxes this year.
All right. Yeah, where'd I go?
That wasn't even the biggest cheer tonight. Come on.
Okay, now you press that button.
I'd rather talk about zoning. You covered a lot of numbers. It was very interesting to me this time. So, Ms. Cannon, the taxable value increase is $795 million. But that does not include the over 65. So if that was included, it would be almost 920 million. So pretty significant increase in value, which is why the effective tax rate has decreased. Other information on this slide is the average home values both in Williamson and Travis County, and the average tax bill, with a word of caution, averages are just that, they're averages. But if the proposed rate were to be adopted, the average tax bill in properties in Travis County would decrease slightly, and the average properties in Williamson County would increase slightly by $27.
The proposed rate being?
I'm afraid to touch this now, so is it top button?
He did it?
It did 55.186 cents, which is a decrease of 2.6 cents.
When was the last time we were able to decrease that much? Do you remember?
Kind of last time.
2 years ago?
2 years.
And then 3 years.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We did almost 4-cent drop one year.
So, Mr. Powers,
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions for you.
Yes, sir.
And that is, there's a little bit of concern in different quarters about, cutting it too much. Are we going to have to sacrifice service? Is there, do you run these scenarios, and do you, based on the scenarios that we've seen the last, since the recession, are you looking at the amount the appraisals are going up on average every year? And is there a contingency, okay, so if they're averaging 10% a year and they only go up 5%, right? Is there contingency plans that you guys talk about and discuss of, different things that we can do to kind of, compensate for that? And I would assume that that's some kind of, catastrophe in the market or something, but can you tell us about anything that would alleviate some of those concerns?
I'll be happy to. It's probably a joint answer. We do not have a contingency playbook that's spells out when 2007, 2008 hits again. What do you do? But certainly we all lived through that. I like to break that question apart because we look at it in two pieces, and the tax rate is made up of two parts. There's the operations tax rate, and then there's the debt tax rate. We look at the debt tax rate and projections going forward quite frequently because, as you all know, Leander has been a high-growth community for a number of years, so we've issued debt every 2 or 3 years. So we have to look at, if we issue new debt, what will that do to the tax rate? And you don't want to have a spike in your debt tax rate. So you look at how fast you're paying off old debt and how much you can add new debt and when. We work with our financial advisor, First Southwest, to run those scenarios. And whenever they ask for our projections on future growth, and this is where I hope to get to your question, we attempt to be conservative. Now, we feel the most comfortable about the next 3 years, and this is any time we're doing it, not just now, but any time. So we will tell First Southwest maybe 10% growth, maybe 15% growth. Now, for the last 3 years, we've been 20%. So, we feel like we haven't been too aggressive there. But after that third year, your crystal ball drops. So we cut that down to anywhere from 5 to 7% and then after 7 years, we go to 0. And so we did that exercise with the bond task force. So, and what I remember us communicating to the bond task force was that, projecting the debt that the task force considered, we could stay under a 25-cent debt tax rate comfortably, 25 cents. We've maintained 21 cents for the last 2 years. So in our next couple of years, we may go up to, I don't have the numbers in front of me, 22, 23. But, if we continue to decrease the tax rate, that'll take a little off the operating. So the debt is managed that way. You don't bite off more than you can chew. And you try to be conservative in your growth projections.
So if we're at 21, what would you need the growth factor to be to maintain it around 21 and not get it up to 25?
Well, in our in the scenario that First Southwest ran for us, we projected 15% for the next 3 years. Now, next year is pretty well known because we know what's been being built, and it's going to be on the value on the rolls next year. So we're really projecting out the next 2 years. So,
did you add the 150 apartments?
Sorry, I'll add everything I can. So, so next 3 years, 15%, and then Mr. Cagle, was it 7% or 10?
1, 10, and then 7,
and then it goes to 0. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't have it turned on.
Yeah.
10, 7, then 0 in the out
0.
years.
Yeah, and we do not exceed. We do not exceed 25 cents. Trying to remember if we even get to 24 on that. Just don't have that in front of me.
Mr. Powers, when we receive the budget in a few weeks, the proposed budget, what numbers do you use to calculate your projections? Are we going to be looking at the effective rate or a different rate, or do you have various rates so that we have a variety of options so we can figure out how low we can go safely?
Well, this is the city manager's proposed budget. That is the proposed tax rate that is factored into the proposed budget, which you will get Friday, tomorrow.
Okay. So it will be slightly less than the effective rate?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I should, just for procedural standpoint, tonight, or this first item is just receive the effective tax rate. It is what it is. It comes from the Williamson County. So that would be the motion, is just to, accept it. The next item is where you vote to approve a ceiling. It doesn't adopt the tax rate. It just says this is the highest rate that the council is willing to consider. Depending on that rate, if you are at or below the effective tax rate, state law does not require the additional 2 public hearings. If you vote to go over the effective tax rate, then the next item on the agenda would be to set 2 public hearings for the public to comment on that proposed tax rate. But again, this does not adopt the tax rate. It sets the ceiling.
Mr. Powers, a couple of questions about that. The 2 public hearings are optional even if we're at or below the effective tax rate, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then also, if council was interested in a lower rate than what we proposed tonight as the ceiling, would you be able to run a shadow budget and give us an idea of what that would look like prior to public hearings?
A shadow budget?
Yes. Like, if we wanted to go lower than the effective rate, are we looking at any sort of cuts to services, any sort of guarantee for our residents that we're not going to do anything reckless?
You just answered that already.
Yeah, well,
I didn't feel like
if you don't mind, I'll try to answer.
Yeah.
The proposal is below the effective rate. So are you talking about a rate that's even lower than the proposed rate?
Yes.
Well, then you start looking at all the things that we showed you at the retreat that you had. You don't add them. I mean, that's the first answer is don't add anything. I mean, that's about the most straightforward answer, I think.
So could we make a motion? I'd like to make a motion on this to just accept the effective rate.
We're not on 23 yet. We're still on
And I'll
22.
second
Right.
that.
We're
I'll
doing
second.
22. We're going
Well,
to
how
just
are you-
receive the effective rate,
Yeah.
which is what the
This
county
is just
did.
receiving it.
That's a calculation. The effective rate is just a calculation. It has nothing. You're not adopting that.
It's not the budget.
It's just accepting that this is a fact, that this is the effective tax rate.
Okay.
So that's my motion.
And that's my second.
All right, we have a first and a second. All in favor? All right. Now, number 23, discuss and consider a proposal to adopt a tax rate for fiscal year 2018-2019. And I know that we have differing opinions here. Mr. Powers, going forward, when would we, like if we set the maximum tonight, when would we set the actual tax rate?
So that would be in September.
Okay.
Our city charter requires 2 readings of an ordinance to set a tax rate. So typically the first reading is the first meeting in September.
If on the first meeting you set it below the effective rate, though, do you have to do the second one?
At or below, I think is.
I'm sorry, if you adopt it on the first reading.
If you do something on the first reading that's below the effective rate, do you still have to do the second reading?
Yes, our ordinance requires 2 readings of the tax rate ordinance. And so the second reading is usually the way the calendar falls. It has to be a special called meeting.
Okay.
But it's definitely in September.
Okay.
And just by state law, you approve your budget, and then you approve a tax rate.
So this is just approving the ceiling.
A maximum. So, look, I know there's some hesitancy in certain quarters to go 551867 tonight, but could we set a ceiling of 555867, which is a 2 cents, so it's not 2.6, and have that as the ceiling? So it gives people that may have some issues with this low number before we actually get the budget packet a chance to take a look at it and then see, in September we come back and of course I would like to go back to the 551867, but it gives us a chance to really dive into the numbers.
Yeah, I think the short is yes. From the effective rate on down, you can set that tonight.
Yeah.
And so tonight you're setting a ceiling. And so if you set the ceiling over the effective tax rate, that kicks in a different calendar. So I think from what I'm hearing, you're wanting to set a ceiling tonight that's either the effective rate or something a little lower than the effective rate. And your example is perfectly fine. You can do that.
Yeah. I mean, it would be 555867, which would be below the effective for 2019.
Mayor, why wouldn't you just set the
Ceiling is the
ceiling
effective
as the
rate.
effective rate, and then we can look at.
Then you have options
later in September.
Can we pinky promise that we're not going to keep it there? I just, I mean, look, for me, there's no doubt that, I trust their numbers. We've trusted them forever. And if they say that we can go 551867, I trust them. So I see no issue based on that not to be able to set a ceiling of 555867.
Trust but verify, right? Like, we haven't seen the budget yet.
Right. Well, you're talking about going lower, which is what you
No,
said 5
actually,
minutes
I'm
ago.
just double checking. I move that we schedule 2 public hearings for. When y'all
I
are
think
ready.
it's 557,867.
We have to.
He wants to go down just 2 cents.
I'd rather us look at the budget legitimately instead of just trying to get a percentage rate.
No, I'm saying that we propose them.
I'd like to make a
Okay.
motion that we set the ceiling at the effective tax rate.
I second.
Okay, we have a first.
Mayor, did you not make a motion when you said you wanted it at the 55867, or were you
No.
just, okay.
Okay, we have a motion to set it at the effective tax rate at 566,793.
Can
And-
we make the motion contingent on the fact that we will have 2 public hearings so that we can go lower?
That's the next item number.
I know, but can we
It's
make it
automatic.
contingent? It's
No.
not
I
automatic
think
unless
these
we're
are
over the
based on
effective rate.
state law, the process.
Yeah, I think you got it
Said we were
backwards.
having one in September.
Right, but there's 2 things going on here. What Mr. Powers said is our charter says there's 2 readings of the ordinance. If you adopt tonight or set a ceiling higher than the effective tax rate, it requires 2 additional public hearings on the tax rate in August.
Okay.
What I want to be able to do here is review the actual budget before we approve the tax rate.
Oh,
I
you will
want to be able to
absolutely,
look at it.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So we will have some sort of hearing later on where we can make it lower than this ceiling we're setting
Yes.
right now.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
as long as that's a guarantee, I'm
Yeah,
good.
we're just
Yep.
setting the ceiling.
That'll happen.
So now
We
can we
have a
set the
motion
ceiling
and a
lower?
second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, at setting it at the effective tax rate. All in favor? All opposed? I'm back. Okay, so motion passes. Okay, so discuss and consider scheduling 2 public hearings on a proposal to adopt a tax rate for fiscal year 2018-2019.
So that would be, no action is necessary.
No action is necessary. Okay, so, thank you. 25, discuss and consider an amendment to the contract for solid waste disposal and collection services by and between the City of Leander and Al Clausen Disposal, Section 4.01, hours of operation to provide for start time at 6 a.m. when the temperature is forecasted to exceed 100 degrees. Mr. Cagle?
So, Mayor and Council, the day that we had about 110 degrees, Clausen lost a lot of employees to the emergency room. And as they were discussing ways to try to deal with that, they felt like on days when it's going to be 100 or more, if they could start an hour earlier, that would help their employees greatly. Obviously, if you do this tonight, then there's going to be some work on our part, which is fine. We're okay with that, but to help notify folks, and I think what we would need to start doing is next summer start letting people know. So really, what folks would want to do at that point, if you adopt that, is just put in the worst of the summer when it's going to be over 100, set your card out the night before, unless you're a really early riser and want to roll it out at 6. But that was their request to help with their employees, was on days that it's forecast to be 100 or greater that they could start an hour earlier. Now the start time is 7 o'clock, and we're talking about residential only here, residential, to be able to start at 6 a.m. And, that really impacts the people on the route that get picked up first. That's who it impacts the most.
How would we notify them?
Well, we'll do a lot of social media. We could even use Code Red. We can the reverse 911 to get the word out to folks. It'll be the 2 main ways: press releases, as much publicity as possible, and just keeping ahead of time well before it gets to 100 degrees, letting them know that this change is in place, and when the 100-degree days are coming, set your garbage out earlier.
Excellent.
I see no problem.
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Seiler with a second by Councilmember Cannon. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, discuss and direct staff on all the city council being provided the same information concerning individual city council requests and/or inquiries.
I think that's sort of mine, just to get some direction on where the council wants to go. Sometimes it's hard to understand. We've had a long-standing policy of when council requests that we give those answers to everybody, and we've used some judgment in the past. If somebody's just asking about a pothole or something that really has no political implications, we just deal with it. But stuff that we think everybody wants to know, we've sent it out to everybody. But this would just be to get the council's direction if you want to continue to do that or do something different.
Personally, I enjoy receiving, what other people are noticing, but there were two recently that I had no idea why council was copied on them. They seemed almost like personal correspondence. So maybe if we had some kind of guideline of what sorts of things are getting forwarded, maybe if it's an agenda item, or, if you're on the fence, maybe just asking the sender, do you want this forwarded?
I think I really benefit from the questions. I think council needs to continue. We've had that for a long time, and I think staff's always used great discretion in what they're sending everyone, and I think we all kind of benefit whether it's a policy question, if it's...
Regardless, it may start a conversation that we all need to have and somebody else thought of first.
But there was one this last week about somebody who was asking about hiring practices for talking to a friend of theirs.
I think that's still huge. I think we all need to be well aware of the policy. It was
well,
very
then
helpful.
I think an email could go out with the policy and not
Or
like
somebody
a
can make
thread
a phone
of
call
conversation
instead of sending an email. I think if it's something you don't want to have shared, then don't put it in an email.
Yeah, with the Open Records Act, I think anything that's in an email can be subject to open records. So I think if it's something personal, I think it.
But
Yeah,
just
but
because
even-
it's
but
subject
even a-
doesn't mean we all have to read it and it has to clog up our inboxes.
Yeah. Well, even verbal
Sorry.
requests, if we have a verbal request, and when the information's being sent out, I mean, I've appreciated getting the request from whatever Shannon had requested. That information has benefited me. Sometimes it's questions that I didn't even think of asking, and I have no problem with them sharing.
Well,
my
I do believe that,
requests.
I think it's a gray area because I think in an area of oversight, you want a little bit of confidentiality. However, I did check with other cities, and other cities do emulate this, but they do it a little bit different. Like it actually in some cities goes through their council and then is routed. So I don't know that we really want to go down that path, but I do believe if we're going to do it, then it shouldn't be subjective.
I
We either
agree.
do it for everybody or we don't do it at all. I don't like
But-
some emails being
In
shared
the,
and
in the
others
interest
not.
of transparency,
as
I would agree
transparent as
with that.
possible.
Right.
So,
Well, and in general, I agree with that too. But there was another one earlier this week that had to do with a few council members meeting with somebody that's on an agenda item, and I felt like that bordered on an open meetings violation for all of us to know what could have happened in their meeting.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I didn't see that. No.
I got one.
We just
Maybe it was
all
just
know
you.
not to hit
Maybe
reply
it was
all.
just me.
I'd like to keep it the way it is so that
Well,
we
I
all
would
have
like
the
to-
same information.
I would
to
like
work
to-
with.
I would just like it to be very clear that it's not subjective. It is 100% of the emails are shared with everybody. And
No
I think
problem with
that's
that.
appropriate.
That makes it a lot easier
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
Okay,
Perfect.
cool.
So do we need a motion on that?
City attorney's shaking her head
Yes?
Yes.
I'll motion to continue the practice we have where all correspondence from one council member to a staff member gets shared with all of council.
I'll second.
100% of them. Yeah.
All kind of,
All.
Yeah, it does me. Okay, we have a first and second. All in favor? All right, passes unanimously. Council member closing statements. Councilmember Navarrete?
It was an interesting night tonight, a little long, but I think it was well worth it. I think in the end, we all know that we're all looking out for the best interest of our citizens. That's what we have to do. We got one shot to do this right, and that's what we're trying to do. So just everyone stay cool out there and have a wonderful rest of your week.
I'm going to make it quick and sweet, so I'm not going to say anything. But thank you all for coming.
I have nothing.
I would like to thank Ms. Crabtree and Mr. Cagle for an incredible retreat. Sorry,
There's
I'm
that.
nearing the end of my
Absolutely.
allergy medicine. Dara especially really killed it for the retreat. And by retreat, I mean sitting for 10 hours straight on a hard seat, going over a lot of little words. It was a lot of hard work, but they worked hard, and all of staff worked hard to make it actually surprisingly enjoyable. So I wanted to thank y'all.
Yes, staff did a great job. Just a reminder, before our next meeting, kids will be starting school, so watch out for school zones and all that stuff. Oh my God, it's that tough.
Don't remind me.
Yeah.
All right, last time we were here, I talked about the dog days of summer and all of the things that the city is putting together for you at the library and the Parks Department. Library summer reading, I think, just ended, but the Parks Department still has one more camp next week, and we need more campers between the ages of 7 to 12, and I need to make this happen because my daughter is enrolled, and I don't want to tell her that it's going to get canceled. So, for $50, your kid can leave your house every day next week for a couple of hours, play sports, do some team building activities, and I believe they're going to the pool every day, right? It doesn't get any better than that. And they'll come home exhausted, and it's the perfect way to spend the last week before they go back to school because it is the whiniest week. So enjoy what Leander Parks has put together for your kids and for your peace of mind. Thanks. See you next time.
Okay, and I just want to echo the sentiments about the retreat and staff, and we have a new council, and I'm new, as you saw in the beginning of this meeting tonight. So I appreciate everything that our city manager did, and I just want to encourage everybody when we do get to the point we're talking about taxes to please fill this room, because government has an inherent ability to take what's there and spend it, and I really want to encourage everybody to be involved in that process. I'm committed to lowering taxes, and it's a non-starter for me. And, I believe that every dollar that we spend comes from somebody who has a very good use for it, and I believe that strongly. So I encourage everybody to come back. Thank you. And no, not yet.
I've got to read this.
We need to take action. Okay, so item 28, take any action as deemed appropriate in the city council's discretion regarding A, section 551.072 Texas Local Government Code to deliberate the acquisition of right-of-way in fee simple for the San Gabriel Roadway Project, and B, section 551.072 Texas Local Government Code to deliberate the acquisition property in fee simple for the booster station at San Gabriel Parkway. Pro Tem.
Okay.
They're two separate motions.
Oh, two separate motions.
It's going to be two separate motions. So we'll do A first. Authorize the acquisition of 0.915 acres of property in fee simple for $137,555 for the San Gabriel Roadway Project, and authorize the mayor and/or city manager to finalize and execute any and all documents necessary to close on the acquisition of the property.
Second.
We have a first and second. All in favor?
Okay, item B. Authorize the acquisition of 1.109 acres of property in fee simple for $57,500 for the booster station at San Gabriel Parkway, and authorize the mayor and our city manager to finalize and execute any and all documents necessary to close on the acquisition of the property.
A second.
We have a first and second. All in favor? Passes unanimously. Can I get an adjournment?
So be it.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming.